So what's the first quarter final?
I've got to remember that Houston Club is downstairs now and not there.
Yeah, and they've got the second quarter too.
Yeah.
That doubled up. How long have we got, mate?
1, 2, 3, 4. Another sponsor.
Time?
We're looking 30, 33. It's a minute. Minute 10.
Beautiful. Thank you.
See you, boys.
See you, Johnny. Chat soon.
Intro, mate. Can you flick me down?
Yeah.
Okay. Just do that Houston Club result was in Kingston.
Sorry?
Do that Houston Club result was in Kingston.
Hopefully coming on in 5.
Yeah.
Good to go, mate?
Let's do it. I'm calling there, boys. Am I in charge? Yes, you can smell the liniment in the air. The sun is shining and everything is looking rosy for the 2025 Sunraysia Football and Netball League season. Brought to you here on Hot FM this year by Collie and Tierney, First National Real Estate. Been 7 months in the cobwebs, but it's nice to blow them out again here for the first game of the brand new season. It's the reigning premiers, Imperials, up against a team that's tipped to be a big improver this year in Ouyen United. My name's Mitch Rod, got the pleasure of being here with you today, and alongside me is the number 1 caller in Sunraysia, who was telling me before we got on air that he came here to do 2 things today: chew bubblegum and call the hell out of this game, and he's all out of bubblegum. Pat Silcox.
Mitchy, Rob, thanks for that introduction. I'm sweating up a storm with you. It's warm and I'm nervous, so a combination of the two. Welcome along to our 2025 season coverage here on your community radio, Hot FM. We're at number 1, or of course now affectionately known as the Brian Waitman Oval. And Mitch Rod, I can't remember the last time I saw this ground look so bloody good.
We were just saying off air that we almost have to get the inverse jumper, I think, going for Imperials today, because the green of theirs might clash with the turf coming up here at number 1. It looks absolutely spectacular out here at the moment, and certainly making it look very, very nice ahead of a brand new season. As we mentioned, Imperials versus Ouyen United here today. The Green Machine coming in as the reigning premiers. Of course, 3-point winners over Wentworth in last year's decider.
Yeah, what a game that was. It only seems like yesterday, Mitch, but here we are. We're in the middle of April almost, and how about this weather? Pretty much perfect blue skies are surrounding us here at the BWA. The teams are getting through their preparations. We'll get I'm not sure if we've had a toss of the coin yet. We'll maybe cross down to Johnny shortly to find out.
I believe there's a raising of the flag over there for Imperials.
Yes.
Of course, the Premiers, their 20th SFNL Premiership last year, Paddy. The next best is Redcliffe's with 11. So certainly, despite where they were a couple of years ago, going from wooden spooners to Premiers, Imperials, they've obviously had success over a long period of time.
They always know how to find a way back, don't they? It might have been at desperate stakes, as you mentioned a couple of seasons ago, but to go from bottom to top in 12 months was quite remarkable, wasn't it?
And I reckon their opponents today will have an eye on doing something pretty similar, of course, finishing in 8th position last year with 2 wins and a draw, the Kangas, but looking the goods on paper at least coming into the new season. We'll discuss some of their new recruits in just a moment, but of course, Paddy, our coverage on Hot FM isn't complete without our man down on the boundary line for the Houston Club Resort. John Hollywood is down there at ground level. Johnny, welcome back in 2025, mate. Very well, thank you. I think you've got the best seat in the house, mate. It looks like perfect conditions out there. Barely a breath of wind, 23 degrees. Couldn't ask for anything more.
They played much cricket here in the summer, John, because that wicket square is almost covered over in grass. It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
I can imagine, Johnny, from a fitness perspective, the first game's always interesting to see how players go. Usually there's a few cramps towards the end where it's the warmer weather and the hard work here. Do you think being slightly heavy underfoot might contribute to that as well? Beautiful. We'll come back to you in just a minute, Johnny, down at ground level. Hey, let's have a look through some of the names that are coming into this squad here for respective sides. I mean, the Imperials did everything right last year. Obviously had some boom recruits, but they've got some who are even better coming in. One name sticks out more than any is Jai Fitzpatrick, who was a teammate of both Aaron Lasky and, of course, the John Groves medal winner Riley Buntain from last year up at Noosa, who's coming in as a silky midfielder.
Yeah, he's gone straight into that midfield rotation, as according to the selected sides on the SFNL website yesterday. We tend to feel that the male is, there's not much of him, but he's very, very polished when he gets his hands around the Sharon. Really keen to see what he's going to offer today, and he'll love these wide expanses of BWA, won't he?
At the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of size, it's Nick Oliver coming in, who's going to be a second ruckman for Imperials, standing at 6'8", coming into Castlemaine. I was saying off air that he and Riley Burns is a combination, a big Andre Perella for Ouyen United the other way. I reckon it's about a road train coming at you down the highway.
They break the scales, I think, in the rooms leading up to the game today, no doubt.
John Hollywood on the boundary, the coin has been tossed. Beautiful, thank you, Johnny Hollywood down there, of course, for the Euston Club Resort. That was skipper Alex Morris for Ouyen United winning that toss there. And in terms of some other ones for Imperials that maybe they haven't heard of before, Caden Handstock made his senior debut last year coming out of the Imps under-18s. Paddy played 5 senior matches, being named in this one as well. While Chris McLean was a man who came through halfway through last year coming out of Harcourt, but ended up playing in the flag, played every game that he was here, and I think they liked his work on a wing and also rotating into the midfield.
Yeah, he's a real role player, wasn't he? He certainly was a bit of a Mr. Fix-It across the back end of that campaign last year, and he was certainly up in their best in the grand final too.
Now, Ouyen United's been a different story down there because they've gone pretty heavy on the recruiting spectrum during this off-season. So really exciting players coming in. A couple who aren't able to make today's game either. We'll start in the forward line with Zach Peake, who of course is a familiar name for Sunraysia footy fans. Of course, played in Irimple's 2011 flag, was the rising star winner that year as well. Coming off 73 goals for Clinton in the Adelaide Footy League in 2024.
He's very much got a similar stature to Jason Eagle. He's almost wider than he is higher. Geez, cutting a fine figure on the blue and white stripes, no doubt about that.
Absolutely. Lonnie Hampton was his teammate from over there at Clinton as well, who's also spent time with Linnell in the centre and also Aspley in the Neefle. Pretty exciting playmaker coming through. And Nathan Davey, who can wax between being a key position and a rebounding halfback as well. I reckon they're both pretty exciting additions to the squad.
Nathan spent a bit of time over in the River Murray Footy League, but I was talking to Mark Alvey during the week, and he said that he coached him while he had that stint at Tullibut in Angtang and was pretty high in his praise for it.
We mentioned Andre Perella before, of course, played in 2022 and 2023 here, back in to take the first ruck for the Kangas. Oscar Smith returns after a couple of years at the Southern Valley Giants and then the Thunder, of course, last year. Pretty versatile key position player. Harry Scott got to make sure I mention for the young number 54 out there making his debut after playing most of last season in Imperials and Ouyen's combined under-16s team, of course, that were going through last year. And one that's got a few raps on him is Jim Valance, who's come back from a stint with Southwood during the last couple of years, playing mostly underage footy, but big raps on him during the pre-season.
Brother of Jesse, who you may remember from Mildura many seasons ago, left footer, real hard in under sort of player. Haven't seen a lot of Jim through the junior system, but as you said, really good raps on the boy. And I was only talking to Sammy Smythe on his footy show yesterday, wondering if the Dogs had let one slip through the radar a little bit there, but keen to see what he offers.
Yeah, absolutely is. Ouyen United are in position. Imperials making their way out there as well. We said it's going to be Andre Perella to take the first ruck for Ouyen United. Riley Burns, his opposite number. Kangas have got Josh Gregg in the middle. As well next to him, Dallas Wilson. Well, how good is it to see him back to number 15? Of course, missing all of last year, the former Hawthorn AFL player, tearing his ACL in the final round of 2023. In fact, he was in the final 15 minutes, Paddy, of that game. But fantastic to see him back there. Aaron Lasky, straight back to where he did his best work last year for Imps in the middle, as well as the evergreen Brad Hards, who led them out again as captain today. Played over 300 games at this level. First quarter of 2025 is underway, and here's Pat Silcox.
Yeah, what a great day for footy it is as the first extraction goes the way of the Kangas via Josh Greggs. He gets up towards left half forward. Out comes the blonde-headed Cox. He's wrapped up in a pretty decent tackle umpire will say that it was held to him. That's a decent start from Regan Scott, pressing young Cole across half back for him, Smitch.
Yeah, he's arguably the most improved for Imperials last year after some injury issues before that. Tapped forward. Rules Moore might have been ridden into the back. Umpires let it go. There's the debutant Scott at the bottom. Not much of the young fella, but happy to put his head over the pill. So ball shuffled back to central umpire, thrown up again. A bit of holding for both ruckmen, and it's going to go the way of Imperials, and Burns will be the recipient. Immediately flicks off the handball to the cheese. Colby Hard smothered off the boot. It's going to get through most of the pack. Beautifully picked up by Brogan in the number 32. Kicks towards Tipper at half forward. Really good defensive work down there though from the Kangas.
Well, they've run into trouble though there as they come through the agency of Nathan Davey. He had nowhere to go. Great tackle coming on there from Brad Valance, who's absolutely lit it up in the weights room during the off-season. He's kicked with smothered, but here comes Lasky. Nice handling, kicks towards the Benetook Avenue into the ground. In fact, it's the Eddie Wonder Avenue into the ground. I got a bit excited, but he's... is he going to get a score registered there?
No, out of the full.
Oh, wow. Gee, he looked good though. The touch and the poise as he was running at pace. Johnny Hollywood, we saw lots of that last year from Aaron Lasky in the 21.
At 46, I believe. Timmy Gloucester, who's much loved player down at Ouyen United, has been since they came to the SFNL, who just rarely gets beaten, does he, Paddy? Doesn't do anything flashy, but does his job each and every week.
He's an honest contributor. As the Kangas clear defensive 50 looking for Big Perella. Does a bit of body work under the footy. There's Greg. Sweeps out the hand pass now. Chance for Davey. Does well to young Dactor. Joel Grace goes down the line towards left half forward. Over high there was Buntain on peak. Ball gets spiked forward. Rolling through there was Jai Fitzpatrick trying to get his first touch of the afternoon. Now comes back to Buntain. A measured pass is a beauty. And lands in the hands of Blaine McHugh.
Really good contributor again last year in the Premiership, McHugh. Just taking the spot out there in the permanent wing. It's Brad Hards. Switches to the opposite flank. Chance here for Penny.
Fox is on.
Goes long down the line. Fox is there. He's got the sit. Well done by Smith. It's Blake Smith in the long sleeve, I believe. In fact, Oscar Smith, I beg your pardon, the brothers. Of course, like the flaming red locks down there. McDonald Tipper Woody snaps towards goal. If it sits for Fox, it's an opportunity. Has to retreat with the handball. Got time. Kicks towards the top of the square. Bryce Hards has the sit. Off knuckles though, and in fact it's going to be out of bounds for a throw-in again. So 3 minutes into this opening term. No score on the board yet. Of course, it's scoreboard again in 2025, Paddy, brought to you by the team at the Coonie Club.
Just quickly down to Johnny for the Euston Club Resort. No excuses on a day like today, Johnny. What a cracker for footy it is.
I believe Marcus Grogan who had the snap at goal, and Tommy Headley put himself on the right line, last line of defence, and tapped it through for a minor. So first score on the board for 2025. Tom Headley had his praises sung by Ouyen United coach Andy Jardine during the week. The work he did last year up forward. That's not a great kick out of defence. And it might have been a high shot, I think, just a little bit late there on Alex Douglas, our man the shovel.
Greg wants to be careful there. He's a long way over the mark. Might have given away the 50, but the quick entry goes to the flying Fox, who takes it with outstretched jukes and hits the deck and picks himself up with some composure, and he's a man to watch this afternoon.
Of course, the best and fairest winner in a premiership year last year, Jaden Fox, 58 goals for him, a career best. Absolutely on fire down there, and started in fine style already. Love it when he's on the lead like that because there's not many who can stop him. Jaden Fox. Only about 30 metres out by the time he makes connection. Slight angle to speak of. Nothing to worry about there. Jaden Fox draws first blood. Imperials 1-1-7. Ouyen United yet to score on that Coomiella Club scoreboard 4 minutes into the opening term.
Down to you just quickly, Johnny. Just trying to get that match up for Jaden. Looks like Scooper Morris has gone to him early. That should be one to look out for across the afternoon.
Early strike there for the Green Machine. Back into the centre, Perella. Double hand tap down, but sharp nicely by Fitzpatrick. Back to Hard, just had a few touches to start this game. Off hands inside 50, slapped forward by Penny. Ball ricochets back towards him again. Valance was going to bust through against the side he won a couple of premierships with. Handball goes backwards, ducking through. There is Bryce Hards. Off a step is McHugh. Numbers all with Ouyen United in defensive 50. It might be Gregson who's taking it down back. That's a beautiful kick out of defence. Finds the returning Dallas Willsmore.
So Willsmore is just defensive side of the grandstand centre wing as he loads up a long left. Keeps it low. Here comes Cox on a long lead, but Scott just beat into the punch, takes the intercepting mark, and then again they look to spread across the outer side. Look at the run-off halfback they've got. Brad Hart marks and goes even further adrift. They've got plenty of numbers out there as they keep the passage unfolding. Chance out there is a Jackson Penny, long way away from us. He's right underneath the Kumiella Club scoreboard. Just tries to come inside and open up some space. It's a helicopter going up towards the left forward pocket with a shovel. Got underneath it.
He was right on the helipad there and turns and goes. Spears it inside. I think he was looking for Grogan running back towards the boundary line. It will be shuffled across in the left forward pocket. Boundary throw in 6 minutes into this opening term. John Hollywood on the boundary. I was about to say before, Johnny, and also Paddy, that I don't reckon he's actually gained any territory with his kicks, but he's been setting it up perfectly, swapping flanks.
Sure has. Here's a chance again. Is it Lasky trying to break the line? Umpire's going to say you had prior opportunity, Aaron, and that's probably a little bit stiff. He was the only one really going for the footy. But holding the ball is the decision, and a bit of a saver there for the Kangas, who are under all sorts of pressure in that D50. Ball comes out to Davey. In that back pocket, Chips just gets enough on it to find Dallas Willsmore. He'll be able to clear the defensive ring here and get it up towards centre wing. As he looks to play to come towards him. Nice kick with no breeze to deal with. Going back with the flight there, Sammy Mead, trying to bring it to ground. And we'll get a stalemate in shoe right in front of the Kangas coaching box at the 7-minute mark of the first term.
It's been the problem so far for the Kangas. They just haven't been able to break past this centre wing area. Had plenty of possession in their own defensive unit though. It's Greg. It's tackled by Tannen Hurley, taken across the boundary line. Get that throw in, 7 points to the margin in favour of Imperials. Beautiful day to restart season 2025 here on Hot FM, your home of live local sport in Sunraysia. Perella and Burns still battling again. Probably break even in the ruck. Nicely done by Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
And Cruyff turned through it. Handball's off to Burns, who just rifled a hard kick in, but nicely taken in defence.
Morris
I think it is Morris who's taken the intercept grab.
Alright, so he's looking further upfield to see what his options are. He's going to try and pop it up here towards centre wing, looking for big Perella. What a big fly from Fitzpatrick. He got up there, couldn't quite bring it to ground. Now the Kangas out the back are a chance. Here's Scooper Morris from the dead set centre of the BWO. Kicks out to a long searching lead for Zach Peake. He's being attended to by Buntane. A couple of big bodies going at it here. Imps have got the numbers though. There's that man again, Bradley Hards. He measures a beautiful pass around the corner and hits the chest of Jackson Penny.
I think like John Hollywood said, he's not going to move too far out of the centre square or away from half back Brad Hards, but that extra number's going to be very handy. Long kick down the line finds Handstock. Youngster who's got 5 senior games to his name before today. Left foot kick down the line, looking for Grogan. Bursts through his mitts. But they've got the numbers here at the back of the pack, Imperials. Little lacklustre with the handballs, and now Morris opens it up. Chance to cut through the middle. It's a beautiful kick inside. Mark taken by CM Mead. Stops and props.
Yeah,
that's well weighted. Chance for Willsmore. He's got Cox short over the top. Looks for the lead coming from Peake. Not a great kick for him. It just busts through at ground level, and it will be a stalemate, but at least it's an inside 50 now for the Kangas. I believe they're first of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Down to you again, Johnny, for Enjoy Catering. Zach Peake, he's a big unit inside that attacking 50 for Ouyen United. Alright, here's a chance for Tannen Hurley. He has to kick backwards to try and get some ground there, as now they'll get themselves under a little bit of pressure in that back pocket towards the 11th Street side of the BWR. It's taken over by Jackson Penny, but that's probably not quite the option the coach was looking for there, I don't think, Mitch.
It almost looked like he was actually trying to run the kick and goal himself, but just was off balance going through. So interesting there from Hurley, but stalemate. Cox takes the ruck tap for Ouyen. Flick over the top, might be a chance for the Green Machine to bust through. Hurley has the ball at centre half back, doesn't waste any time with the kick. Down the line, looking for the big man in Oliver. Off his hands. Back of the pack, Joel Monaghan. Nice work. Kick goes back from where it came. It's Blake Smith. I think is the target at half forward. In the long sleeves, in fact, Tate Holland that is out there in the sleeves. Fisted away from him and out of bounds. 50 metres out, right half forward for the Kangas.
Presuming it's just a sun smart thing from the long sleeved boys today, because I'm sweating sitting up here in the box and I've only got shorts on. But
I think once you're a long sleever, you're a sleever for life.
Yeah,
just ask Brad Close at Geelong.
And so the ball's one down to that ruck hit out there by Cox. Chance for Douglas, squirts out the handball front and centre. Ball's still ping-ponging around in that Kangas forward 50. Now goes over the line. Certainly one takeaway early, Mitch, is it just seems like the Green Machine have got a lot more numbers around the contest. There's always support runners there to help them get out of trouble.
That was a big factor in the winning last year, wasn't it, Paddy? The fact that they were able to put in the second efforts. It just always seemed like they had extra at the contest. Scott goes across the 50 to Buntain. He goes further across. I think it might be Penny who's got the ball in hand. It's looked pretty good so far. Jackson Penny, Imperials boy, but was away for a bit of time in Ballarat last year. Big tackle by Sam Mead. In fact, umpire said it's a bit high. Free goes the way of Imps and Callahan. Short kick finds Valance, who's pushed a long way up the ground. You think maybe in this corresponding game last year might have been some mixed feelings for him, but I reckon by now he'll realise that he's very much on the Green Machine side.
Half forward now, dangerous with McDonald, Tip and Woody in the vicinity. Goes out towards left half forward for Douglas. He gets his hand pass out to Handstock, who couldn't quite handle it. At the first attempt back to Douglas, they go inside the forward 50. Jaden Fox got a good jump at that, couldn't bring it to ground though. And a decent tackle coming in from Oscar Smith has held him up. And done right there, the Kangas dodged a bit of the ball.
It was actually pretty well weighted from Douglas, wasn't it? Because he knew Fox had the leap over the top. He just couldn't quite get the bits to it.
Almost overplayed it a bit, didn't he?
Maybe 117 for Imps. Hold on, by Oliver out of the ruck. Danced through a few. And off one step, Douglas has just put it to his side. Nice work from the big man, though, out of the contest. Imps won at 2-8. Only United yet to score in this opening term. We've travelled almost 12 minutes of game time. The Kangas bring along the commentary side wing is Gregson, halfback. He was inside for his old mate Willsmore. Spears it short. The daisy cutter for Holland. Tries to go inside, but cut off there by Galbraith, and he's off and running immediately.
Right, ball's back to Douglas in the midfield as now Galbraith gets it back in the 1-2. Long kick, look at that, 45 metres! Holds its line brilliantly, and the Kangas paid the ultimate penalty for coughing it up there, coming out of the defensive half of the ground. The Green Machine hit the Kumiala Club scoreboard again and go out to 2-2-14. They lead Ouyen United, get the score. We've ticked over 12 and a half minutes in this opening quarter for Pioneer forward Robin Vale Mitchie, where it's worth the drive.
Absolutely, it is down to the boundary for the Houston Club Resort. John Hollywood and Johnny Instincts took over there for Ben Galbraith, but his incredible speed just meant he absolutely cut the game open. We apologise for a couple of technical hiccups coming through the ranks in here. The ball's coming back across the line after the restart. It is Imperials 2-2-14. Only United yet to score if he did miss it before. Ben Galbraith cuts off a short kick at half back, runs all the way to half forward with a 1-2 in between. He kicks a goal from 50 metres. John Hollywood for the Houston Club Resort. Just instinct down there, wasn't it, from Galbraith, and his incredible pace just split the game open. There's a free kick that's been pulled out here somewhere. And I think there's a bit of confusion as to who it's actually going towards.
A lot of confusion, but I think it might be Fitzpatrick. Is it in the right forward pocket there? Didn't see much going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether maybe it came from elsewhere. I'm not entirely sure. Kicked it across the flank for McHugh, but the umpire said to bring it back. So it might be hemmed in for the check side here. Jai Fitzpatrick. From Noosa Tigers, where it's been a very handy breeding ground for him in the last couple of years. I reckon he's got good skills, this man. It's a great attempt to show it. He's going to go around the corner, hasn't quite got the purchase he wanted. I think he was always initially looking like he wanted to go across to the other side of the 50, but once he came back, his options were limited. 2-3-15 for Imps. Only United yet to score. 14 and a half minutes gone. Opening term here on Hot FM. Of course, brought to you by the team at Pioneer Ford Holland.
Just wait for this one to come back into play. That's the toughest check side, isn't it? When you're right foot or the right forward pocket to try and bend the screen from there. You want to be better off going to the left, trying to open it up.
Wouldn't know Paddy didn't get it in the forward line often enough.
All right, so it's the Kangas trying to get something happening here on the Kumiala Club scoreboard. Josh Gregg, who had a bit of impact early, but it's been a bit quiet in the last 5 or so. His kick is not great. It's going to be intercepted by Tannen Hurley, and their foot skills have let them down a bit, haven't they? In this first stanza, as he kicks inside with penetration of Fox, strong with the jukes, hits the ground and bounces back up. He swings it around. It's going to just hang on the breeze and go to that far side of the stick, so minor score the result. We would have been certainly all over that one. Mitch hadn't gone home. 2-4-16, so you might get the score.
John Hollywood on the boundary. Imps just look like they want it more at the moment, don't they? They're willing to attack the contest to be the first one in there to get the loose ball. Brad Valance just channeling his in a crab out there, I think, at the moment.
Rather exotic.
Didn't know he played guitar for attack. Meanwhile, on the far side of the ground, Tate Holland. Number 2 on 1 again. Numbers with the green machine, hands off. Nice little dance, gets around a would-be tackler. Looking for Grogan.
Great catch.
He's had a very good start to this game, Marcus Grogan. Tapped it down to his own advantage nicely. Has to be held up. He's almost on the boundary line, 30 metres out the left forward line.
Taking his best effort from out there, I reckon. He's certainly shaping up that he's going to take it on.
Looked lively in the first quarter.
Moves well. He runs around, gets a bit of space. Might have been touched off the boot. It skews away. Imps have got 2 there, sitting there waiting for him. The first, and also Dart Hurley, who's locked away a pretty handy tackle. And again, the Kangas have managed to save the day, but they are under siege at the moment, aren't they?
Absolutely are. Joel Grace is the man who locked in that tackle. Really liked him in the last couple of years. And considering the struggles that the Kangas had with personnel last year, impressive in multiple positions. Goes long down the line. Perella's the main target. Over the top. Ball sits kindly for Cox. Running past is Willsmore. Long handball looks for Lonnie Hampton, who just gets rid of the jumper. But still keeps going with the single underneath. And hits a target, I believe. Did not faze him whatsoever as Peak chips it back inside. And Stanley Cox, the man who started that whole transition, will take the mark. Pretty much uncontested, 35 metres out directly in front, but not phased whatsoever, using the slip. If you thought Ronnie Biggs was a thief.
Johnny Downey in for the Houston Club Resort. That almost looked like a set play to me. I don't know about you.
May as well just give him his keys and his entitlement to his house while he's going.
Yeah, quite remarkable. Anyway, Stanley Cox has got the job to finish off his good work from only 30 seconds ago. Geez, they need this one, don't they, on the Kumiala Club scoreboard. Only off a couple of steps, stabs at it, looks good, and it's just going to miss near side. It just didn't really kick with any intent there, I don't reckon, Mitch. He just laid back, a bit laconic in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, just sort of poked at it, didn't kick all the way through. As they get the first score of the day, the Kangas trailing Imperials 2-4-16. Turnover at half-back here for Imps. One-handed handball from Burns. Umpire says the same thing. Free kick going to go the way of Sam Mead. He's doing his best to try and present at the moment, but hasn't had a lot of support coming from half forward. Just goes long down the line. Cox back with the flight. Oh, almost tunnelled underneath there. And while the ball's come off hands and through for another minor score here for the Kangas. 2 behinds for them. Imperials 2-4-16 on the Kumiala Club scoreboard. They go quickly, Imps. Lasky just belts it down the line. Hoping Fitzpatrick can run onto the loose footy. Right under the scoreboard, it will go out of bounds and we'll get a throw in. 18 and a half minutes gone in this opening term. The second was certainly harder, Paddy, but 2 opportunities that Ouyen United would have loved to have taken, but considering they've been outplayed pretty comprehensively in the first quarter, still only 2 goals in it.
Yeah, they take going in 2 goals down at quarter time, absolutely, as they're trying to win out on that outer side beneath the Kumiala Club scoreboard. It's like a stacks on the mill situation. What a heap of players around this contest at the moment. It's pretty open and free-flowing, which is certainly good to watch. As Imps come crashing in over the top, might have been a free kick there, but he goes Willsmore from the centre field, kicks up to big Zach Peake. He's outmanned there in that contest. Ball spills clear back up towards centre half back for Imperials. There's Bradley Hards, gets a bit of a dangerous hand pass out, but Imps are good enough to then find the line out there at centre wing. Bryce Hards shoots a quick hand pass out, high tumbler out towards that 11th Street side centre wing. Bit of a lottery really. It's going to go over the line and we'll get a toss in, 19 and a half minute mark. On a day that's absolutely befitting a season opener here at the Brian Waitman Oval.
As we said before, Imperials just look like they're getting more numbers to every contest to start off with. Half back there again. Extra players around is Burns. Handball's out of the right, Fitzpatrick. A nice bit of a don't argue. Takes some time. bit up and under that kick.
Hands in the back.
And it is a little bit sloppy in the end from young Harry Scott. Immediately played on from Grogan. I reckon he wasn't behind the line. Umpires let him go. Gets a 1-2 with balance. And Marcus Grogan, oh, he's hooked it.
Yes, cooked it.
Gee, big opportunity there for the youngster, but unfortunately puts it across the face. 2-5-17 for Imperials. Ouyen United, 0 goals, 2 behinds on the Cumulate Club scoreboard. I like that Harry Scott's throwing himself into the contest. It just maybe was a little bit too forceful.
A bit too obvious in front of the umpire. You can do that, but not with the umpires in the vicinity, I reckon. But let's see what they can do this time here through Alex Morris. Cup of Premiership in the second division SEA cricket last weekend. Now he's playing footy this coming Saturday. How it turns. There's now a chance around the corner for Ouyen. They bring it midfield.
Headley
holds it up, centre wing out of side, kicks down the line for Cox. He's starting to present a little bit now across half forward. His kick with method is good. I'll get it way out wide. There's that Willsmore. He's tracked down towards the forward 50 arc. Oh, splash of a mark for Buntain. Opens up an opportunity for Zach Peake, but he can't wheel back in on the inside. And he'd be happy to take it over the line. They get the chance to reset inside the attacking 50 at the 21-minute mark. And Johnny Hollywood, down to you for the Euston Club Resort. Those rotations, I'm thinking, will be at a bit of a premium with these warmer conditions.
Imps kick out of defence. Numbers are with the Kangas of this contest. Again, the Green Machine just wanting it more, getting to the fall of the footy. Stokes on the Mill will have another ball up. Dallas Willsmore, nice to see him covering the ground pretty nicely in his return game. Might be a couple of kicks in there he wouldn't be overly happy with, but I think just a bit of rust to come out of those kneecaps, I reckon, is pretty good for him at this stage. You expect Paddy, as the game goes on, his class will probably come to the fore. Another stalemate, about 60 metres out for Ouyen United. 11th Street side of Brian Waitman Oval. Thumped down by Perella, quick hands. Might have been the veteran Simon Brown. He's onto the field now. And another stalemate. Another block in pretty much the same position.
So it's a right hard forward for the Kangas. So they're looking to try and get on that Cumulate Club scoreboard with a major here just before quarter time. Now we've got a lot of players around the contest. We're only a couple of moments ago. There was only probably 6 or 7. So starting to try and throw some numbers back here, Imps, and try and hold them up defensively. So it's one down over the top there by the big man Perella, but Imps have got the numbers at the takeaway. Douglas, quick kick up there is good to McDonald. Tippenwoody, who takes the mark there at centre wing. Trying to see if he could hold on to his defender and maybe drag a 50 out of it. Umpire wasn't forthcoming. Here's Bradley Hards, probably his 10th touch of his first term. They'll kick down the line here. They've got options both sides. Mark taken infield there by Fitzpatrick. Sweeps out the hand pass. It's a ripper to Lasky. Kicks from inside the centre square. Going back on the fly. Here's a chance though for McHugh. He's pushed forward. Initially it was Grogan. He's been so impressive, Mitch, in this opening term. Couldn't quite clunk it, but McHugh was exactly where he needed to be. Couldn't quite swing it around enough.
Would have been the perfect Crummer's goal if he had put it through the big sticks. But puts it to the near side instead. 2-6-18 for Imps. United 2 behinds on that Cumulate Club scoreboard. So it's keeping the Kangas in it at the moment. They're not breaking further away. It's a big fly from McLean over the top for Imps. Couldn't take it. Lasky, I reckon he was dropped at cold. Otherwise, let it go. Brown, first player there, wrapped up by Galbraith. And another ball up about 55 metres out from the Imperials' goal. Left half forward. If they can get another one here right before quarter time, I reckon they'd be pretty happy with that, Imps. Clearing kick was smothered there from Hampton. It's another ball up in exactly the same position at the moment, but you just see, Paddy, the way that Imps moved the ball down the ground was just cutting the Ouyen defence up, whereas it just seems like it's very slow from the Kangas at the moment going forward, having to take their time to find the free players. Yeah,
very labour intensive, isn't it, from the Blue and Whites. They've really got their system up and running at this stage.
And that's what's going to happen when you've got some good recruits come in, even though they're going to be good players. Sometimes the system takes a little while to figure itself out, but it's always a tough prospect coming up against the reigning premiers in the opening game as well.
Sure is. There's now the Green Machine again a chance to get inside of the forward 50. Ball spills clear back to Galbraith inside the centre square. They switch it further to McLean. He gets his kick away under pressure. 1 out contest there at centre half forward. Gee, some good work there from Imps to hold it up. Another chance here for Lasky, who's been busy. Trying to slow Fox. In comes Grogan, just ghosting in from the side. Beats a couple, steps in around another one. He might get his own hand pass here. He's gone beautifully, the kid, at the moment. As the Kangas just get to the flight of the footy as it hit the deck and managed to go to ground. And we'll get another ball up almost at quarter time now.
Tom Hamilton, the last man up at ground level. Just playing the loose man in the goal square right now, trying to avoid Conceding another. As McDonald tip and Woody read the tap beautifully.
Oh, no, it's high.
Certainly thought it might have been holding the ball. Wasn't happy with the tackle coming through from Gregson. But he's going to get the free kick deep in the right forward pocket.
Down to you, John, for enjoy catering as that quarter time siren goes. Thought he took it on, and gee, I reckon Ouyen a bit stiff with that call.
Don't tip and Woody can't go around off the mark. About a 60-degree runner. Man of his skill, you would back in most days of the week though. Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody, what a recruit he was to the Imperials last year. Key cog in their premiership tilt. Winds up. I think he's put that to the near side, he has. So Imperials missing a few opportunities in front of goal, which certainly leaves the Ouyen United Kangas in this contest. 2-7-19 for the Green Machine. Ouyen United 0-2-2 on the Coomera Club scoreboard. On Hot FM, we're here for Collier Tierney, First National Real Estate. We're going to head to the station for some messages and be back on the other side of this with the second quarter of action on your home of live local sport.
You want me to put the stuff up on Facebook, Dick, or are you going to do that? I can do it.
Yeah, we're checking that, mate.
Oh, I've got it ready to go here if you want me to. There you go, I'll stick it up.
Alright, yep.
I was just going to say, Johnny, I was having a chat to Mitch, and I sort of felt like, watching that first 10.
They've clearly got plenty of talent at the top level down there. Thanks, Johnny Hollywood. On the boundary will come to you as the quarter goes on. Paddy, let's have a look through some of the better players in that opening quarter. And I reckon there's one man in the number 32 we were pretty impressed with for Imperials, and Marcus Grogan. He had a lot of nearly moments, didn't he? But certainly looked pretty impressive early on.
Yeah, he just seemed to sneak under the radar quite often, didn't he, inside the forward 50. The Kangas weren't paying him the respect that he probably deserved, and he certainly took advantage of that. He was one of their better players. Brad Hart, we've not got stats today with the young Maxi, but I reckon he must be up around 11-12 so far in that opening term, and he's just controlling things beautifully across half-back and just moving a little bit ahead of centre field. He's going very nicely. Like the look of Blaine McHugh, he was moving well, I thought, for starters. Aaron Lasky got some really good touches through the midfield, and Fitzpatrick as well, his Noosa teammate, really starting to come into his own, I reckon, in the mid part of that term, and he's going to be one to really keep eyes on. The other one that I marked down there, Alex Douglas and Foxy obviously doing some great work inside the 50, but I thought Rolly Buntaine's job on Zach Peake was outstanding. I mean, Zach's a big body. Buntaine's no smallster, but he really made it hard for Zach to make an impact in the game, didn't he?
Everything I'd heard from the pre-season games is that Buntain was absolutely dominating in those ones out there, whether he was playing as a loose man, whether he was playing one-on-one. And that's the great thing about someone of his ilk, isn't it, is that he can actually play both of those roles. So it's not foreign to him to actually play a lockdown defendant role. But it seems like every time the ball's gone inside forward 50 for the Kangas, Peake's had to deal with two defenders. So clearly they've got the system in place to be able to drop someone off, whether it's Scott, whether it's Galbraith, whether it's someone else going back to help out. Chris McLean's done it a few times to get in the way. Certainly made life difficult for the Kangas forward. What about for the visitors? I reckon Alex Morris coming off halfbacks looked pretty good. Nice to see Dal Woosmore back out there. He looked like he's moving pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, he's going well, isn't he? And I guess the conundrum has been, since he's been back at the Kangas, is where's his best role on the team? And he likes to get through the middle. He's been dangerous in front of goals as well.
Can play off halfback if he needs to.
Yeah, look, I like him probably more as a forward. I reckon maybe he's a small forward or a half forward flank, but he's starting off in the midfield rotation to get us going here in the second term. But no, he was one of their better players. I thought Stanley Cox certainly got better as the moments rolled through there towards the back end at siren time, and he gave them a bit of an option across half forward. But as Johnny suggested, that AJ mentioned at the huddle, that they just weren't clean enough with their skills, and they just couldn't hit targets, and Imps made them pay. Luckily enough, they're only down by 17 points on the scoreboard as it stands.
That's the big win for the Kangas so far. It is only just under 3 goals as the margin, despite the reigning premiers doing most of the damage in the opening term. Just waiting for the field to be cleared before we get this second quarter underway. And here at Hot FM, it is brought to you by the Euston Club Resort in 2025. It's Burns and Perella, the opposing number 18s, back into the middle. It's going to be the Ouyen United man who taps it down. No clean takeaway. Fitzpatrick keeps his feet. Nice bump there on the opposing player coming through. Really wanted it more than anyone. Extraction from Brad Hards back to Tannen Hurley. Turned a couple of directions, but it's a well-weighted kick in the end. Lasky had one too many to deal with in the end. Josh Green did enough to get a fist in, put it across the boundary line on the 11th Street flank.
It's actually a good contest from Lasky because he was going in 1-on-2 there, so the fact that they didn't get the takeaway, the Kangas, I think the Green Machine will be pretty happy with that outcome as we get the ball in on that 11th Street side centre wing. Ball goes to ground. Not much happening there, so we'll get another restart again. Almost ticked over a minute in this second term, Mitchie, as you said. This season brought to us by the Euston Club Resort, where you'll love relaxing by the mighty Murray. Be a good day on the river today.
It'll be perfect down there today. As here goes Fitzpatrick, who just waltzes away from the contest, runs towards 50, open goal square in the end. The bounce is going to set up for Fox. Oh, he's just let it bounce onto his shoelaces. And from the last line, umpire's just conferring it is a goal. Jaden Fox, I think, is going to be credited with his second. Though it's a little bit like in the pre-season where Sam Draper stole that one of Isaac Kakko on the last line. I reckon the bounce probably could have done him favours. It was a desperate dive from Blake Smith. He did all the right things. It's just unfortunately hit the wrong point and sat up there for Jaden Fox to kick his second.
Johnny, down to you for the Euston Club Resort. I didn't play footy at a real high level, but I was a forward. And as a forward, I always felt that there could never be no doubt. You had to make sure it went through. So if you're on the line, you just kick it over.
Beautifully done though by Jaden Fox. Got his second and first blood for Imps again in this quarter. 3-7-25, leading Ouyen United 2 behinds as Hurley again spins his way out of trouble. They don't seem to want to tackle him at the moment. Maybe he's got a bit too much Mozzie repellent on him. Off the pack, McDonald, Tip and Woody at ground level. Shovels a handball up to Fitzpatrick. Retreats further, Oliver. Kick across is pretty clever from the big man. Might have just had a bit much sauce on it. Well done though on the defender in Joel Monaghan. His fresh air kick in the end lands in the lap of Galbraith, who takes it on centre wing.
I feel like they've got about an extra 2 or 3 players out in their rings. They've always got the answers, they've always got the numbers in support. As Galbraith sends it out in front of their faithful here at left half forward. Mark taken on the sideline by Jackson Penny. Spears one in, nice mark taken contestedly. And Imps will get a chance to take another potential shot on goal here.
I believe it's the McLeod medal winner, Bryce Hard's.
He's quiet so far, hasn't he? Haven't called his name too often.
I don't think he's actually spent as much time in the centre as maybe what he did last year. I think he's spent a bit more time starting forward, but the way Imps are moving the ball at the moment, though, Paddy, very much in contrast to Ouyen United. There's no long bombs in. It's really trying to find a lead coming in, and everyone's quite happy to play the sacrificial role, which has been good so far.
Their skills are a bit precise too. They've been hitting the targets where the Kangas haven't managed to do that so far in the game. Right behind this one from Bryce Hard as he leans back and he's absolutely gun barrel straight. It's his first of the afternoon and the 4th on the Cooneyella Club scoreboard for Imperials. They are 4-7-31, leading Ouyen United 2 behinds. They play 3.5 minutes in their second term for the Euston Club Resort. Of course, our coverage right across the season of our Match of the Day is proudly brought to you by Collie and Tierney First National Real Estate.
Yeah, we thank them for coming on board this year. And for Euston Club Resort on the boundary, John Hollywood and Johnny. Bryce Hard's obviously a McLeod medal winner from last year, but one thing he did do really well is he was able to impact the scoreboard. Most weeks would kick 2 or 3 goals, which is really important from a midfielder forward.
Back underway, the Brian Waitman Oval, and the Kangas have coughed it up again as Imps look to move through with numbers. Little shaky kick up towards left half forward. Favours Imperials. Fox spins away from a couple of tackles. Goes a hand pass inside. Now a chance from a standing start. Matt McGinty. Long bomb is going to get smashed through for a minor score there by the Kangas. But all of a sudden, they're starting to hit their strats, Imps, and you get a bit of a concern for the visitors that things might go askew here.
I'm a little worried that we're not even halfway through the second quarter, Paddy, and they've already had Ben Galbraith run from half back and kick a goal. Matt McGinty almost did the same thing. So the Imps are just letting it go at the moment. Another turnover, kick back inside 50, and Fox has taken the mark. A chance for Imps leading goal kicker from last year, of course, only second to Jared Barina in the Bland medal tally. Kick his third of the opening half.
He's been very dynamic, as we've come to expect from the big fella. He's very measured at his approach going for goal. Crowd just hushes down and waits to see what he's got for us. Off a couple of steps, he pops it up high out of Mosdim. The commentator's curse strikes for the first time in 2025. He's got near side of the stick, minor score. 4-9, 33 to 2 behinds. That's 13 scoring shots to 2, Mitch.
By the way, you still only 4 of your 30 houses on there for last year, Paddy.
We'll get to that.
So a kick out of fullback, long out there from Morris, who almost gains territory of half the ground. Big kick. McLean's handball really went to no one in particular. Colby Hard's tackled, or might have been a throw from Perella. Umpires let it go. Again, Imps just getting first in the footy. Pinched by Cox though. Kicks it inside the forward 50. Got absolutely no one to go to. Buntain by himself. Peak trying to run him down. They've got time. Callahan always measured from half back. Beautiful short kick to Burns. Really improved player last year, big Riley Burns. Long down the line looking for Fox. Finally, Ouyen have some numbers to the contest, but Fox just wants it more. Paddles it forward. Well done by Hampton. Just to get a ball inside. Wills more shrugs the tackle. Handballs forward. Looking for Greg. Again, the skills just letting them down a little bit here, the Kangas. Greg's got no help over there on the far side of the ground. Been a worrying trend already in this game. Hurley shrugs the tackle. That might be holding the ball though.
No call.
Might have been one high there as well. I reckon maybe stiff a couple of times there, the Kangas to go forward.
So get a ball up there on the outer side. Almost left half forward for Ouyen United. They're attacking that Eddie Wander Avenue end of the Brian Waitman Oval this second term. Kick comes out of the contest, favours the Green Machine. Again with numbers, they'll run through the midfield.
Fitzpatrick again.
He looks good on the run, doesn't he? As he kicks up to McDonald, Tip and Woody! Oh, he absolutely clunks that one out in front there. He was out of position, and how he managed to just stretch his body back and keep the hands out, I've got no idea, but that's the sort of human he is, and that's why I love watching him here at the footy, Mitch.
That's a kind of angle I reckon you only see on some sort of maths test, I reckon, that I wouldn't be able to get through. It's very awkward, but he took it beautifully and did not look like he was off balance at all. Don Tip and Woody missed one after the quarter time siren, deep in the right forward pocket. This one straight, a lot further out. He's hooked it across the face. I think he's just trying to gain some extra territory and couldn't quite have it. Through for a minor score. That's 4-9-33 for Imperials.
Yeah, I think.
4-10-34, I beg your pardon. Ouyen United 2 behind on the Cumula Club scoreboard. Short kick out of defence with Jim Valance. As you said, someone who's had his praises sung during the off-season. Awkward looking kick across the fence, but works to Oscar Smith. Swings it across to the debutant and Scott. Right half back. Really hasn't got a lot moving for him at the moment, so takes a bit off it, looking for Adam Morrish. Off hands, Galbraith. He's got the speed to beat anyone. Let a little kick inside, didn't have enough territory gained. The ball comes back to Fitzpatrick, who again just sidesteps a tackle to half forward. Grogan, with Don Tip and Woody also there. Might have been held off it by Gloucester. Umpires let it go, he's followed up with a good strong tackle anyway. A stalemate just inside the forward 50.
How do you, Johnny, for the Euston Club Resort? They said that young Giant from Noosa was a pretty decent looking mover. Geez, he goes well, doesn't he? Alright, ball's in that forward pocket here as Imps look to try and continue this real sortie in the second half. Ball's going to get locked away, so we'll get another ball entry. I'll tell you what, those marquees are pretty chockers there. That forward pocket, the Imps fans are out and about to celebrate the flag being unfurled this afternoon.
Well, certainly a good day for them so far in response. As the ball's come off the boot there at Nath Davey, and I think we're trying to figure out whether it bounced or not. Umpire said it did. We get a boundary throw right in front of those tents. I know the Imperials fans certainly love to turn out, and they're doing it so far in this season opener. Thrown in Valance with the tap down. Tackle laid there on Penny. It's coming from Davey. In fact, it's Bryce Hart was the last man to get up. Still another stalemate. 32-point advantage here for the home side. This opening contest. Davey's immediately racked up there again after taking the ruck tap down from Perella. Umpire's getting a few touches here in a row.
Certainly is. Kanga's just lacking that bit of spark and polish on the footy at the moment, aren't they? Can't seem to get themselves out of trouble. Heavy contest there. We've really not moved many metres at all in the last 90 seconds. It's been locked up in that left forward pocket pretty much right on the forward 50-metre line. There'll be a good 25 players around this contest as we get it in the air once again. Knuckled down by Perella. Here's Valance. Handball back to the big fella. He wasn't probably the right option. The umpire said that. Has he thrown that?
He hasn't actually signalled either way. I think it might be a ball up again.
Jeez.
Perella again, this time at the outsides in the ruck contest. Hurley's the first one there for Imps. Might have got one in the back. I think the umpire was blindsided to it though. On the other side of the contest. She's almost like probably trying to sit in the middle of a US political debate with you. Think there's no movement coming from either direction.
I'm waiting for a free kick here. The umpire will get frustrated with something. There he is. He knew it was coming. Johnny Hollywood. It was absolutely like a book to read that. The umpire was getting sick of throwing it up in the air. He's going to give a free kick away.
Too much hot ball for you so far, Paddy, as it looks like Greg on the move. In fact, Gregson it is. From half-back, moves to the centre square. One-on-one contest at forward with Mead. Off his hands, though. Galbraith wasn't the best looking kick, but it was absolutely effective. In the hands of Handstock. McGinty bumped as he's kicked it. It's going to affect it enough. But Perella. Gee, I think the umpire might have actually whistled a mark, but then said play on. Just a little hot on it. But certainly Perella at least needed teammates around him to tell him he was free, because I think he was waiting for the contact and no one was there to tell him anything.
Just needed to mark it, really. It was almost unattended initially, big fella, but couldn't go on with it. His ball hits the deck. Here's Valance again in and around the contest. Squirts out to Bryce Hard's lovely extract to Handstock, who is going to now be called holding the ball. I thought he just got out the other side of the tackle. So free kick with the Kangas. They haven't had much footy coming this way, our side of the ground in the second term. It's been exclusively And a Letty Street side, they'll get a mark there to Josh Green, just underneath the Kubiella Club scoreboard. Plays on quickly now. There's a bit of advantage out the back for Willsmore. This is where I like him across half forward. He's flanked the big fella. He brings it in. And he's got, I thought he looked like he was playing on, but it was touched. But the umpire says, no, go back and take your kick, Zach.
I mean, there's not many people you want kicking the ball to you more on the lead than Dallas Willsmore coming in. That was the most effective movement we've seen so far. And he chips it a bit further down the line to Joel Grace, who got away from Fitzpatrick there. Nice work from the youngster to move further back and make him accountable, but it's going to be a tough kick from this angle.
He hasn't made the angle any easier whatsoever, has he? He's made it tougher, in fact. So let's see what Grace can do. I'm thinking he's going to run around and open up off his right boot.
Well, there's no one anywhere near it, so he's got plenty of time to be able to work it. Just goes off for one step. One step's enough, I think.
Got it.
Joel Grace gets the first on the board for Ouyen United Kangas in 2025. 1-2-8 for the Kangas, 4-10-34 for Imperials. The Kubiella Club scoreboard. 12 and a half minutes gone in this second term thanks to the Houston Club result down on the boundary. John Hollywood, just a bit of pressure, I think, released there with that, but it all came from the ball movement from their stars in Greg and Willsmore.
Good call, Johnny. Grace again, trying to squeeze his way through. His balance looks good, doesn't he? Right foot as he goes towards left half forward, looking there for the running Greg. Needs a good bounce. He might be in the van. Stanley Cox also close. Greg's looking for a free. Umpire says throw it in. I don't reckon Josh is going to get the win there. He's looking to come for the footy.
Well, Josh Greg, we know he's an accumulator of the footy, but at the start of that bounce, I reckon he started on the far wing, Paddy.
Right.
I don't mind that there because you've got young Valance who goes in with the extraction. If you've got someone with his smarts to actually work out wider, I think that might be something.
He's trying hard to get that, Josh. It's not going to go his way. The boundary umpire played the game. Field umpire had other opinions about it. Bit of confusion, but I think we are going to get a ball in on the other side. Here's a quick one I'll throw at you. Stanley Cox worth a throw on the ruck just to get a bit more mobility, you think?
Yeah, potentially. Although I also think as a matchup for Benny Galbraith, it's probably not a bad one either. As he's a free out of the ruck going away at the Kangas, and it's Perella. Hampton ran around looking for the handball. He gets told to go back around the mark, so gives Imperials a chance just to flood the numbers back inside 50. But this is where, as Johnny Hollywood said, you can make Riley Burns pay going the other direction. Might be an option as Blake Smith offers a lead, goes longer than that. Willsmore's going to fly, he might have been pushed out, but in the end, it doesn't matter, it's landed straight in the lap of Zach Peake, who's about the fifth man in line, but in the end he read it better than anyone else and should make the most of this shot at goal.
He's got the size, Mitchie. If he's front and centre, you're not going to get him out of the way of the contest. And
he's also got the power off the mark, doesn't he? If he gets on a limb, you're not going to actually stop him too often.
Yep. So this is what he's been brought to the club to do, kick the goals. So he needs to lock this one away. Midway through this second term, 15-minute mark, he sets it up and he's going to go near side. Oh, what's another one? I just need to shut up. I think
Minor score there for Zach Peake. You see coming into this season, 72 goals for Plimpton over in the Adelaide Footy League last year. He's been a noted goal kicker wherever he's been. It's 1-3-9 for the Kangas, 4-10-34 for Imperials, but at least for the blue and white, there's a bit of momentum going forward now. Down the boundary, John Hollywood, I reckon really for the Kangas here, they've just got to make sure they lock it inside their own forward half, don't they? Cox gets the fist forward, but it's all Imperials at ground level. McLean into the centre. Well, that's well read there in defence. It might be Monaghan who's taken it. Falling back with the flood, little kick across. Dangerous, but it works. Finds his teammate. He is the skipper, I think.
Yep.
Wants someone to come at him. He pokes it down the line. Cox, that's a really good grab. Nice athletic work overhead. High up and under. Hampton, a big fly from the back, the little fella, couldn't quite pluck it. Lays a good tackle on Lasky, who just gets the kick away in time. He has a chance for Stan Mead. Shucks the tackle. Adam Morris, she's handball and hope more than anything there. But he's got numbers finally. Barella, really well done. Callahan front position, couldn't hold it. Handball misses the target. Swinging through is Gregson. Pops it up at Peake. He's got a man back in Grace. And that's a really clever kick short to Hampton. Taken, he's just inside the 50. Potentially could have had space to run, but quite well done in the end from Callahan to close down the space, didn't allow him to move.
It was very measured that time, the Kangas, Johnny, for the Euston Club Resort. They didn't panic, they just thought they would wade through that nicely and got the separation they were looking for.
Lonnie Hampton, excitement machine coming across from Adelaide. It's been time with Glenelg in the sample as well. Originally from Albury. Gee, that looks pretty good off the boot. It might have just faded at the last second. And it is to the near side and a minor score again for the Kangas. Certainly this end of the ground hasn't been kind for accurate kicking today. 1-4-10 for Ouyen United, 4-10-34 for Imperials. It's the big relief for Ruckman and Oliver. Nice kick inside for Chris McLean. And the Waves are just starting to run now for Imps, but well done to the Kangas. They've just started to lock down a little bit more, making it harder for them to go forward. Hampton again with hands in there. Now a chance for Monaghan. Sits up nicely for Wilson. Well, might have been taken high, and umpire says the same thing. Immediately turns the plays on. Kicks it from 50 to an open goal square! And Dal Willsmore! Welcome back to Sunraysia footy. What a time to be able to pull that out of his bag of tricks. 2-4-16 for Ouyen United, 4-10-34 for Imperials on the Coomella Club scoreboard. A bit of magic when required, Paddy.
Absolutely. Johnny, down to you for Euston Club Resort. They've hung tough in this second term and they're close enough if they're good enough, aren't they?
That's going to be Oliver going up against, I think Blake Smith's going to be the man in there. So he's got a bit of versatility about him, but you called on Stanley Cox before, Paddy. Showed a little bit before and leaning up the ground. And the Kangas might have a chance to go again. Fitzpatrick just gets the handball out for Imps. Colby Hards, haven't seen much of him so far. Kick inside 50. Bounce doesn't favour the forward and hand stock. But he lays a good tackle to wrap up. Defender at Headley. And get a ball up just inside the forward 50 for the Green Machine.
Back underway again. Smith got to a decent position, then was taken off the ball, I reckon. So a free kick will go to Blake Smith. He's picks himself off the carpet here at Brian Waitman. I believe he's unbelievably good.
This is almost a bocce territory, isn't it?
I'm not sure it'll look this great come August, Mitch, but anyway, we'll take it while we can get it. As he looks to divert the traffic to that outer side, the 11th Street side here of the Brian Waitman Oval. Down the line up towards the Cooney Club scoreboard. Out goes Cox, got up early. All clears that initial pack though. Bit of pressure coming in from Grace. It'll fall back here with Imps though. Regan Scott's got a bit of time to measure one up here. Goes to a one-on-one contest though. He's looking for the big fellow Oliver. All now on the deck. In fact, it's out the other side. And we'll go over the line. So we'll get a ball in at the 19 3/4 minute mark of this second term, of course, brought to you by the Euston Club Resort. Here's your SFNL match of the day from Conley and Tierney on Hot FM.
What's your number one? Your expert real estate agent for properties and businesses throughout Mildura and Sunraysia. Flicked back into play. Smith's won the last few contests coming through over the top. And he follows up at ground level again nicely. 1-2 with Greg. Now to kick forward here through Gregson. Peak. Gets to the contest late. Hampton runs into his own teammate but still follows up. He's getting some support. Great block from Simon Brown. Gives him some time to assess. Kicks across the face of the 50. Scott just gets a handball away in time. Clever kick with the outside of the boot from Galbraith. Releases Hurley. Chips down the line for Lasky. Wastes no time in going forward. Heaves it inside 50. Going back with the flight. Might have been a push. At the back of the pack. Jaden Fox. Right place. Right time. Right result. Puts it through for goal number 3 of the day. And just like that, Imperials strike back in a matter of kicks.
Johnny, just quickly to you for Enjoy Catering, Euston Club Resort, E&C, I was close. Just got caught ball watching there, the Kangas defensively, I thought.
Johnny, on the boundary there, Alex Morris just sitting on the bench. Any issues there for him or just taking a spell? As they skip up for Ouyen United. It's back into the centre of the ground. Burns against Smith. Sam Mead Might have been taken a little bit high. The Hires said he's ducked into it, so he's okay. Still in the centre of the BWO, as Paddy Silcock said, looks absolutely glorious here today. Burns with the big tap. Might have been a hold without the ball umpires. Let it go. Willsmore kicks out into space. But Brad Hards has been outstanding in this game so far. Takes the mark with the flight. Well weighted pass for Lasky, who's also looked very, very good, the Queenslander. Wheels and goes. McDonald Tip and Woody on the lead. Geez, absolutely plucked that perfectly. It was the third man in line, and it's landed straight in his lap. Good communication from his fellow forward as well. I think just to let him go at the last minute, time it perfectly.
Seems to have become the main option inside the forward 50 in this second term. I've certainly been looking for him so far today. He's had a couple of opportunities, but hasn't quite iced them just yet. He's probably got a slight angle here in this left forward pocket, about 35-40 degrees to work with. As John mentioned, much breeze to be concerned with, so pretty much straight through the line here for Tipper. Starts at left, he wanted it to swing inside out, it waited, it holds its line. Another minor score for Imps, 5-11-41 they go on the Cumula Club scoreboard. Ouyen United 2-4-16, played almost 23 minutes. The second term on Hot FM.
It's 3 behinds now for Anthony McDonald Tip and Woody. Normally very reliable in front of goal, but the radar just a little off to start with, although I think most players are usually in the same boat when they come back first game of the home and away season. Lead currently stands 25 points for Imperials. Nice tap down for Blake Smith and Lasky. Been very good in this first half for Imps. Down the line, but Josh Gregg really was the only one who wanted it. Takes it on his chest on the 11th Street flank. Little chip. Just the 15 to the number 15 in Dallas Willsmore. Bring a goal on the run from him at centre half forward about 7 minutes ago. Looking for Cox. Might have had his jumper tugged. Did well to win at the ground level though. Handball was good to Simon Brown. High up and under. The idea was okay, the execution just maybe wasn't quite there as Colby Hards takes the mark back with the flight back to older brother Brad. Skipper again this year. Fitzpatrick's his target, but Greg gets in the way.
Nice shot.
And there's a free kick going the way of the Kangas again. Another chance to rebound and repel before half time.
One last crack inside the forward 50 here. There's a look to try and drive it long. It's got Josh Gregg. He's playing a bit more of a defensive general role in this second term across the half-back line. Just summing up his options. Wants to get on with it quickly now though as he kicks up towards Holland, who takes it at left half forward. Quick kick, floats one inside the forward 50. Cox set himself early. Got himself in a bit of an awkward position in the end though. So the ball squirts out over the line. Get a ball in the left forward pocket at the 24.5 minute mark.
I know our esteemed colleague Michael D. Fabrizio, the few times he saw Stanley Cox last year, was a big fan of what he did, not only as a ruck but also as a forward, as blood rule's been called. Might be Willsmore, I think, coming towards the bench. A little bit of claret coming through. Not ideal, you certainly want one of your Rolls Royce players around the ball. You're ready to go, but Joel Brace, who's their other goal kicker for today so far, is coming on to replace him. Can't be much longer left, about 25 minutes gone in this second term. Play about to get underway. Perella, front position, taps down. Fitzpatrick again, just gives another don't argue. High up and under kick from Brad Hards. Holland moves himself to front position in front of Bryce Hards, but the ball's spilled away over the line on the 11th Street flankers. Around the ear, I think, for Willsmore, just getting a little bit of the claret removed.
Yeah, interesting spot to take a blow. I'll try and just probably keep him on ice now until half time, I reckon, as the ball's coming back across towards the centre wing on that outer side. Good hands in tight traffic. Imps have got the separation here. Nice work from Grogan. Lasky runs ahead of it, kicks it up towards the forward 50. Fox, look at the space he's got. He couldn't hang on to it. He'll put the afterburners on inside out. Swung beautifully from 20 metres out. And that is his fourth sausage roll of the afternoon. Imperials 6-11-47 leading Ouyen United 2-4-16 Mitchie, and that is on the Cumula Club scoreboard.
4 goals for Jaden Fox in this first half. John Hollywood for the Euston Club Resort. They're nailing it perfectly there where Fox is moving up to half forward, then just kicking it into the space and letting his pace through the rest. .31 point margin here as we're in the throes of half time. Can either side get one strike before the siren? Bryce Hards immediately puts it inside 50, looking for the big man in Oliver. Off hands, Fitzpatrick, another fend off. Snap around the corner. Lasky full forward, it's off hands. Through for another minor score, so 6-12-48 for Imperials. Ouyen United 2-4-16. We heard when Harley Reid, Paddy, was coming through in his draft here, there was a new stat that was brought out for him called effective fend-offs. I reckon Jai Fitzpatrick's put through about half a dozen so far in this first half.
Absolutely. As the Kangas go long and strong to that outer side, might just stay inside the field. No, it's going to bounce and then go over the line. And there's your half-time score.
Absolutely, it is that score, as we mentioned before, 6-12-48 for Imperials, 2-4-16 for Ouyen United on that Cumula Club scoreboard. Half-time in your first game back in 2025, the Sunraysia Football Netball League season on Hot FM, brought to you by Colleen Tierney, First National Real Estate. We're going to head back to the studio. We're back for a half-time wrap. On the other side of this, your home of live local sport in Sunraysia is 106.7 Hot FM. tackling as well, which is just, it's worth playing goal, isn't it?
Well, there was one case there where the ball was bounced. It was to the advantage of Andre. He knew he wasn't going to get to it, but he knew it was going backwards of Andre, so Andre could only able to push it backwards towards defence. Riley just ran straight past me and got the ball himself, 15 metres away from the contest. Didn't go up for the ball, and I thought the umpire might have called it back, but he didn't. But he's run out there for the 15 metres, grabbed the ball himself and got onto his wingman and ball carrier.
Absolutely. Footy smarts there from Burnsy and Nick Oliver, a couple of pants attacks going through in there, big, heavy units. Jai Fitzpatrick, the recruit, I reckon he's looked very, very good so far. As we see, he loves a fend off. There's not a lot of him, but he's absolutely nailing those and looking very good with ball movement.
Yeah, look, if you were to say to me who was best on ground at the moment, you'd have to say it was Foxy. There's no doubt about that. What's he kicked down? Four, exactly. So he's been fantastic. He's led, he's jumped, he's kicked, he's done all the right things. He looks fantastic. We've liked him for many years now. He's always been that second or third bit player. We've always said and screamed out, we wish he'd stand up and become great. I think he's going to do that today. He's certainly started that from last year with the Best and Fairest. But I was certainly told off screen, Toff off air weeks ago, that this Fitzpatrick was as good as anybody that's been coming into our league from the Sunshine Coast.
We see how good the guys who came in the last couple of years have been.
Yeah, my mate put him on Mercedes-Benz, so I didn't know what that meant. He said it's not big, body frame, that sort of stuff. He said, but he doesn't get hurt very often, and he's silky smooth and silky skilled, and he's proved that very well.
The skipper, Brad Hards, maybe he's slightly quieter in the second quarter, but he just knows his own game inside and out so well and knows where to position himself every single time.
Yeah, but this is where Coach Jardine needs to get, smarter than that. Brad's going to do some damage if you let him do some damage due to the fact he's only going to roam that big square. He doesn't carry the ball into the forward 50 much anymore. He'll run from the square and cricket inside the 50, no doubt. He'll defend inside the big square, but he doesn't push deep, he doesn't push forward. But if you give him that space, he controls the game from there. You shouldn't. Someone should go to, it shouldn't be your true quality bloke to be a third option.
Yeah, I always wonder whether someone like either a Joel or he might be an ideal player there. I think just to try and negate his impact.
And the two reasons come of that. I've put a young, inexperienced player on him who wants to get the footy because Hartley does one thing. He takes you to the football middle. It might only be in that centre square area nowadays because of his legs. He's not a kid. But he will take you to the football. If you're good enough to go up against him and get a 50-50, he's going to get you there. So I'd put a young, inexperienced kid on and say, follow this bloke, let's put him out of the game. By the way, he's going to get you touches.
Jaden Fox, of course, a career best season last year coming through. He was absolutely outstanding at full forward. He started on fire again. 4 goals in the first half and just looks like he's moving really well at the moment because we've always known he's been explosive, but it's been his ability to run over the back. And again, the backmen never seem like they've got enough time to dispose of the ball when he's around, which is a great trait to have.
Oh, look, that last goal was typical Fox over the years gone past. I'm the second or the third forward. I'm just going to wait to see what comes out and I'll go from there. His first movement in the first part of this game in the first quarter was a 50-metre lead straight up bang. And then you see his vertical lead, his talent, his skill. I want him to be their key forward this year. I really, really do. I don't mind people wouldn't go to full forward, all that sort of stuff. But Fox is the man for me. He's clearly best on ground so far. He's probably had 9 touches. He probably could kick 5 or 6. But he's been unbeatable at this stage. He's the one they've got to stop up forward. Otherwise, they haven't done too bad. They've kept blokes that, Tibber hasn't kicked him, should have kicked 3, that sort of stuff. Imps have kept him in the game. There's no ifs or buts about that. But Foxy looks fantastic.
Yeah, give a shout to a few other blokes. And Aaron Laskey's been pretty good coming from the wing. Marcus Grogan as well. And maybe quieter in the second quarter, but looked lively in the first.
Yeah, look, Groves is young. The rap on young Groves is he's got great hands, great movement. He gets himself in the right spots. He's tough as nails, that sort of stuff. They have said, my little resource said to me, does let his kicking down a little bit. His field kicking lets him down a little bit. But I tell you what, let your field kicking down, at least you've got the ball in your hands, isn't it? That's the main thing. He's certainly doing that.
Regan Scott and Ben Galbraith out of defence, both pretty good as well. Now for the Kangas, nice to see Dale Lewis more, as we said, just moving nicely after having a year out. They would have killed him, I reckon, last year, being able to having to sit on the sidelines and watching a tough season for the Kangas down at Blackburn Park. But apparently was there every single training session, was there every single game, helping to lead from the front, and again he's been the leader out there again today.
I think his reputation as a man has certainly preceded him, no doubt about that. I think he made AFL footy not less on his ability, certainly great at this country level. AFL level, I think he made it because of his sheer determination and his loyal and his fierce to not let his mates down. As you said, he went to training every day last year when they had knee surgery. He looks great, he's moving well. From my perspective, I think his rehab obviously looks super well. He feels good on it. There doesn't seem to be any problems nowadays. The injury and the surgery is certainly cleaning itself. He looks fantastic.
A few more of the smooth movers and the likes of Josh Grigg, plenty of footy. Lonnie Hampton's looks pretty solid in different sides. So, I mean, we did see his brilliant ability to break the tackle just by letting his jumper get ripped off his body. But he looks like he's got a bit of something about him. I believe the younger brother of Curtly Hampton, the former GWS and Adelaide player as well.
Yep, exactly.
It certainly looks like he's got a bit of something about him.
Well, he's got more than something, mate. At ground level, he twitches and turns, all that sort of stuff. You'd be playing on him, not sure which way he's going. He would scare you. I'd have worried about somebody standing next to him because he's just jittery. And as they called over here in the half-court flank there, he was the one that actually put his hand and stopped it from going the other way. But not only did he just flick it out to advantage, he didn't stop still and go, not done right there. He's then pushed 15 metres to a forward advantage. I would never have done that in my career. These guys can think. He thought about it, he tapped it where he needed to go to advantage. He's then pushed 15 metres forward and went straight to him.
I can give a bit of a nod to Blake Smith as well. I reckon he did some good efforts when he was rotated in the ruck to give Corella a rest. I guess if you are the respective coaches at this stage, Johnny, what's your messaging at half-time?
Teams probably wouldn't change too much. They really, really wouldn't. They just go through the whole motions they are. They'd certainly want their kicking skills for goal to be sharpened up. What are they, 12 points? There's no doubt about that. They could have been another 9 goals. Put the game away. And if it comes back to haunt them, that's all it will be. It's not Endeavour. Game plan and style hasn't changed much from last year. They've brought a couple of new things in and it's certainly working for them. The good thing about the team of Imps at the moment is they've now got a list of 21, 22, 23 players that can play. I think you said some of the players of last year, some of their better players, we haven't seen much of them, haven't needed to, but as you blokes said, they're sacrificing their game, there's no doubt about that. Bryce Hart's been pushing forward more because Brad's been dominating in the centre. Brad wanted to change with him at subs and he just said, no, stay where you are. As if to say, you're going great guns. You're going great guns, old man, let's just stay there. I'll change with the lad. Sacrifice his game for the sake of it. So they look really, really good. On the other side, as I said, I would have got in the rooms and scrambled chats for about a minute and a half. Just to switch them on and get their eyes up. They just don't look switched on enough. I think they've got lots of game plans in their head they've worked on all summer. Hasn't come together yet, but it will. But they're loaded with talent, Ouyen. There's nothing wrong with them. They can turn this game around with 2 quick goals. Okay, and they're in it. And I don't think they're missing too much to do that. I think young Cox is an option for them at centre half. He's got a viable leap and a great grab and that sort of stuff. He's going to be right when he gets older. He's only a kid. I thought he was a bit older to look at.
Only 19 years old and last year. I think he might have turned 20 in the time. He's still very young man.
He came off the ground, he's got that breech blonde hair, and I was expecting to see a full-grown man. I seen a little boy, but he was a high talented little boy. He's a good size, that sort of stuff. I really, really like this full forward. I really think he's going to be. I think he's going to be in a powerhouse this year. There's no ifs about that. I think he's going to be great. He's done a couple of great leads, he's chipped off some passes, that sort of stuff. He's normally a dead-eye dick from the 60s. We used to see in his young career. He's a mountain of a boy. He's not going to get many full backs as good as Bontain. It's just not going to happen in our class. So he's going to be valuable. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and kicks a couple. If he can get a couple for them in the second half, they're right back in this game.
Absolutely. Before we head back to the studio, we might just do a quick whip around the SFNL this year coming in, Johnny, because of course this is the first game of the season opening round. The other game is happening a little bit later today. It's underway from 5 o'clock this afternoon. Wentworth versus Redcliffe out at George Gordon Oval. Wentworth obviously got dealt a massive blow during the off-season with Jared Wood, of course, breaking his foot with a lens injury up in the Northern Territory. So arguably their best players that are out in the running. But Wentworth's still a very talented squad. The Redcliffs are also backing themselves to go a little bit further up the ladder, finish with 4 straight wins towards the back end of the year. What are you expecting from these two sides under Ben McGlynn and Ryan Doherty respectively?
Oh, the thing I'm expecting the most is certainly the Wentworth to stay where they are. They finished second last year, there was no doubt about that. That's a huge loss for anybody. You just can't replace next over for a footballer country level, especially when he's only in his mid-teens or mid-20s, that sort of stuff. And he's a tall man, he's a great player and that sort of stuff. That's disappointing for us, the supporters. I think Wentworth will stay where they are. They've picked up enough for me and they've improved enough from last year and he will coach them to improve again. He's the sole driver of the comp this year, or their team this year, so he's going to have a big stamp on what they do and what they don't. They'll be right up there. They'll be hard to beat throughout the season. One player doesn't make a team. It would have been a great advantage if he's not there. Redcliffs will just keep doing what they're doing. Ryan Doherty's worked really hard over the last couple of seasons to get this team to believe. They just keep getting trickles of plays into their squad, trickle after trickle after trickle. So for me, they'll keep improving again. I think the comp's improved again, so they're going to be working their bottoms off to bust into that 4, into that 5, but they're going to be better again.
Absolutely. Well, we might talk about some of the other teams, I reckon, on the other side of the break. We'll head back to the studio quickly for a couple of messages and be back for the second half of action here on your SFNL Hot FM coverage. Thanks to Colleen T and your First National Real Estate on Hot FM. Oval for the second half of your SFNL season opener on Hot FM in 2025. Imperials 6-2-48, Ouyen United 2-4-16. Might be a 32-point gap on the scoreboard, but certainly don't feel like the Kangaroos are out of this one. If they can get their game going in the second half. Mitch Wright and Pat Silcox up here in the box. John Hollywood, of course, for the Houston Club Resort, coming to you from down at ground level. And Paddy, we started going through a couple of the other teams just before the break in Wentworth and Reckless. For the other clubs that we've seen of the work they've done through the off-season this year, I reckon there's a few that are standing out as real premiership aspirants, and I reckon one of those is the other co-tenant from here in Mildura.
Yeah, the Demons, Mitchie, have gone in pretty hard, haven't they? We're looking forward to getting our eyes on Noah Perigaro, who comes across from West Perth in the Waffle. He's a very impressive individual.
Team of the year member, I think, in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Playing as a centre-half back, but here I believe he's going to be out of full forward, which is going to be a bit of freedom for him.
Yep.
A great target for the D's, which they were missing last year.
The other one I think that people are really liking the look of is Brendan June from the Barossa Districts. Played in the Barossa Light competition last year, and ours was so keen to sign him up that he went over their grand final day in September to get his signature, so they were pretty keen on him.
Didn't give him a chance to get to the years on ice
No.
there. Of course, former Central District Bulldogs, I believe, in the sample from there.
Yep.
And another team who's done a fair bit of work over the off-season in terms of recruiting is South Mildura, where poor old Balrangle has been just about gutted, I think, from up in the Central Murray competition. But of course, the Giant Nagle as the main man coming in as the coach. Of course, brothers Matt and Jackson also in there as well. And you've heard a bit about Harrison Saragi, who's coming from the Kangaroos up there.
Yeah, look, his stats stack up pretty well when you go back and look through some of the Play HQ material, so he'll be one to keep an eye on. Archer also, I think, is a massive pickup for them. We've seen him play some great footy here for Mildura.
Really liked him off the wing, and I reckon that could be a great spot for him out in the MSP as well.
Yeah, so they'll look to improve.
Interesting name further down, Zach Leslie, who, of course, was in and out of the senior side for the Eagles last year.
Yeah, not certain about that one. I had a chat to Sam Boak during the week and he was a bit unsure, so we'll just pop that one on pause for now, but he would be a huge get for them defensively because he's got such great speed to rebound the footy off the D50.
Absolutely would. As teams ready to go for the second half, go through their final warm-ups. As you said, 32 points the margin on that Coomiella Club scoreboard. It's third term brought to you by Mallee Bearings. 10th Street Mildura, your go-to local stockist of ball and roller bearings and transmission products in Sunraysia and the Mallee. Tap into their combined product knowledge and experience of over 120 years.
Good to have them back on board for 2025.
Been long-time partners of us here on Hot FM,
Yep.
and certainly thank them for all their support. As Kangaroos players coming to the bench, Ryan Monahan was already there. Looks like Joel Grace is going to start on the pine, just have a bit of a rest. And your debutant Harry Scott. And Blake Smith is the other one who's coming off as well.
Ryan Monahan was already off on the sideline there, so I wonder if there's a bit of a concern for an injury there with Brighton. We'll keep an eye on that.
And it's always a concern when you only see three players walking over to the bench coming from the huddle. Imps just breaking from theirs now. Johnny Hollywood sort of mentioned in the first half that a fair bit of pressure probably going on the big man, Andre Perella, who's been probably beaten in the ruck by Riley Burns, been very impressive in the first half so far. So I guess if he can just throw some of his body weight in there and really make an impact on the contest, could go a long way to them getting back in this game.
Yeah, I guess the tough thing for a big Andre is that Imps have got the 1-2 punch, haven't they, with Burns and also the big fellow Nick Oliver. So I reckon he might look in the second half for a bit of relief to run through there. We did see Blake Smith get into that midfield rotation for a short period.
And you did mention in there as well, you thought Darren Woolsmore going forward might be an option. He's going to start forward. Now going a little bit deeper, he's going to have Ben Galbraith for company. So in the middle for the Kangaroos, Josh Greig in there, but he's got Corey Gregson and the youngster Jim Valance alongside him. It's going to be Lasky, Fitzpatrick and Brad Hards under Riley Burns for Imperials. Just making sure players are in the right position. Second half of your season opener coming underway from Brian Waitman Oval on Hot FM. Here's Pat Silcox.
So it's Perella going against Burns. Nullified, but it's going to be the early takeaway for Imperials as they go off the boot. As Fitzpatrick again, he's been so impressive. Gets up towards the right forward pocket and gets knocked over to safety there. But they've got some real strike power through that midfield, haven't they, the Green Machine?
Yeah, absolutely do. He just seems to read the ball so well coming through. And all the Imps swapping the rucks on and off the bench, but Nick Oliver starting out full forward just to try and provide a big presence. Bring the ball to ground for McDonald, Tipper, Woody and for Fox. Off hands in the ruck. At the back of the pack is Lasky. Didn't quite get enough purchase with the snap. Through to the near side. At the Eddie Wanda Avenue end of BWO, it's 6-13-49 for the Green Machine, 2-4-16 for Ouyen United on that Cunilla Club scoreboard. Also just stuck under the highlights on the far side of the ground, which might be an advantage for Imps to be able to set up further as the Ouyen United skipper, Scoop Morris, immediately brings the ball back into play. Headley on the far side of the ground, impressive last year for the Kangas. Cox with the lead off his hands and managed to make it a stalemate almost directly in front of that Cunilla Club scoreboard.
Good recovery there from Cox, wasn't it? He was running pretty much full tilt of that footy, but he got back and another bite of the cherry just to hold up him there momentarily as Morris, cross half back, sweeps one long down towards the Cunilla Club scoreboard. Here is Cox again, ball squirts out the front. Kangas have got some numbers. Hullen kicks it round his body. May well have been already out before he kicked it, I think. Yeah, so otherwise I think it was out before, so probably a good win there for the Kangas.
Certainly is. Boundary umpires getting a fair bit of work around today. It was not only the first game back for the players, but for the officials as well.
Hook on that.
Very much so, and I think it's going to come back from where it was. Riley Burns was probably the only one who I think was arguing against it. Certainly gave him clear passage, but we're going to have another crack at it. Two big number 18s in the ruck. On the side closest to our space, with no one on that wing whatsoever. They're all on the 11th Street flank. Off the contest, Gregson. Nice handball off. Chance to go inside 50. Not a great looking kick from Brown, but it's going to work. Hulland. Handballs over the top. Here's Hampton. Got some space around the corner. Lonnie Hampton, he's just hooked it a little too much. Buntain marked on the last line and took off immediately. Hurley, really nicely weighted handball, back to Buntain, back to Hurley. Well done from the Kangas though, they kept pushing them towards the boundary, made sure it was in tight. Oh, it's going to be a bit unlucky, I think, there for Jim Valance, who tried to get the ball back. It was
Get back behind your mark, John. What are you doing?
It was called holding the pill and play on immediately. Jeez, I reckon they could have been unlucky a few times there, the Kangas, and maybe on this one too. Morris has given away a high shot on Alex Douglas.
They've been escorted effectively about 60 metres up the ground here, Imps, but they'll certainly take it. Douglas, shaky off the boot, not quite where he wanted to go.
Tip front in contact, surely.
It was okay, it was all ball for me. Happy with that one, but ball is locked away there. Nice tackle coming in there from Timmy Gloucester. Yeah, a couple of eye openers there along the grandstand side centre wing.
Well done by Gloucester. He was the man underneath it when Tipper Woody came through, so good recovery from him. He's had the matchup on Tipper all day so far. Tap out of the contest of Davey. Good recruits for the Kangas. Wrapped up immediately. Still a stalemate just inside the forward 50 for Imps. Perella, the tap down looking for Davey. Bounce evades him. Again, he's wrapped up by McDonald, Tipper Woody. No further away from where the ball was before. 33-point margin in favour of Imperials. Of course, the reigning premiers coming into this season. Quick handball from Valance was nice. Monaghan finds Morris. Interesting agricultural looking kick. Boundary umpire says it's touched off the boot and we'll get a throw in slightly more towards our commentary position.
Playing for the safety of the line now, I reckon, Adam. Coming at him pretty quickly behind. As we get a ball in at the 4-minute mark of the third term for Mallee Bearings here on Hot FM. Coming through there, Gregson did nicely, arched the back, kicks it high up towards centre field, looking for Cox. Out the back is Willsmore. Good bounce, he might be in the van here. Keeps trying to knock it to advantage. Keeps getting numbers at the contest. Ball hits the deck. Still under pressure there as they'll look to try and go back here to Hurley. On some separation, he kicks one around his body out to Douglas. Brown gives pursuit out there towards the 11th Street side centre wing. It'll be both of those two boys over the line and get a toss in.
On the boundary line for the Euston Club Resort, John Hollywood. Johnny, I reckon when that ball went to half forward for Ouyen United, they just got caught a little bit too many of the players following the ball, maybe rather than the one sitting out the back just to make sure the Imps couldn't run free. Well, they've got a chance here, almost a holding the ball decision. A big tackle from Willsmore. He holds up Lane McHugh inside their own forward 50, so that barometer starting to build up a little in pressure for the Kangas. I think Perella's had a good start to the ruck in this third quarter. Hulland just kicks inside 50 in hope. Hurley running back, evades the first tackler. Bumpers has kicked it. I reckon that's going to be out of bounds on the full, so the pressure now from the Kangas starting to build a bit, Paddy. It's nice to see.
It is. It's showing a bit more intent here after half time. They managed to lock a bit of possession down around their forward 50. Is it Gregson is just selling the chocolates and kicks it inside? It's a bit of a shaky one though, so here's an opportunity there for Burns to try and get them out of danger. Ball still up for grabs as they try and bust through. Hair pass over the top. Hampton might have been away there if the umpire had held the passage up probably a little bit early for acceptances there. And we'll get a ball up inside that Kangas forward 50, pretty much directly in front, about 35 metres out.
Sam Mead following the instructions of Dallin Willsmore and just attacking the ball at full tilt. Valance picks up the ball, handballs backwards. Maybe a little too cute there from Ouyen United, but they get the ball inside 50. Buntain. Handball didn't do any favours for Colby Hards, but eventually it'll land back in his lap. Well done, Peak. Eyes up with a big tackle. It's holding the pill. And again, that pressure's starting to build up a bit more now from the Kangas. It's right on the boundary line. She's pulling the socks up immediately. This is a tough kick. Be pretty much on 50 metres on the boundary from Zach Peak. I don't think distance will be an issue. Now he checks it. Idea was good. Didn't quite have enough on it for Willsmore. Handball comes forward looking for Greg. Mead again goes hard at the footy. And a big tackle. In fact, it's going to be a high shot and it's going to go the way of the Kangas. And at the bottom of the pack, it's Lonnie Hampton who's going to be the recipient. Probably the smallest man on the ground. Handball immediately to Willsmore. Didn't know that McDonald Tipperwoody was there. Dances around one, Hampton. Coughs the ball up though. Imps might be a chance to get back out of defence. Had to do it the hard way. In fact, they're still working at the hard way. This is very labour intensive at the moment for both sides. But now, Kangas have a chance to go again.
Still lots happening on that outer side, a long way away from us here. Kangas just disappointingly really overplayed their hand a little bit there when they had a great opportunity to get one on the Imperials Club scoreboard. Kicked over 7.5 in this third term for Mallee Bearings. Colleen Tierney first national real estate match of the day on Hot FM. Currently lead by 33. There's not much doing out there at the moment, Mitch. It's a real arm wrestle at the moment.
Certainly not a lot to take notice of out there. Is our man Johnny Hollywood just starting to do a few stretches while he's on the ground level. Watching from between the interchange boxes. All the action on the 11th Street flank at the moment. Now the contest, Jim Valance at the back's got time to scoop it up. Just gets a handball off. They're calling for a throw. Imperials umpires kept going. Cox! Stanley Cox, what a huge grab over the top. From 4 deep. Studs up and everything, but he absolutely nailed the timing. He's been threatening to take mark of the day for the first half, Paddy, and I reckon he's got it in the third term.
Might be the first, last time we'll see him have a flying on either. He backs himself in. That's what you've got to love about the kid. Jeez, he got some elevation there, didn't he? Tough angle to deal with here, though, but gee, what a great finish to his effort here. If he can nail the goals, he sets sail, he kicks it high, the goal umpire's doing a little bit of movement there. It's going to end up near side. So minor score is the result, so that will get the Kangas waiting for that scoreboard to be adjusted. 2-5-17 on the Cooney Club board there. Imperial 6-3-49. We've tipped over 9 minutes 32.
Which is one behind for either side in this third term so far. Brad Hard switch kick, dangerous. Well done again by Cox. Gets the fist in. He's happy to have scored it over the boundary line. Well done from the young forward. It's on the boundary for the Houston Club Resort. John Hollywood. Johnny, I reckon the intensity is starting to build a little bit more in this game. It's very much an arm wrestle at this point in time.
Ball still is locked away on that outer side. In fact, the umpire's going to pull out a free kick here for Imps. Away from us.
Bryce Hards.
I thought I saw the forward get up off the canvas there as he quickly wheels around on his right boot. Goes out there looking for the big man Oliver. It's underneath the Cooney Club scoreboard. Almost taken over the line by the Kangas safely. And we'll get a reload here. Almost 10 minutes gone as we see a change up here for the combine. And it looks like it's going to be Lonnie Hampton taking a spell and Joel Grace back into the action.
Of course, the opening goal kicker of the game for the Kangas is Joel Grace. Thrown in Perella, in the front position. Jackson Penny looking to swoop for Imps, but bounce evades him and across the line. 32 points the margin as it stands, same as it was at half time. 10.5 minutes gone in his third term. Next to Mallee Bearings. The throwing didn't really go near anyone, but Willsmore is pushed back further up the ground. Kicks it towards centre half forward. I mean, back as McGinty tried to do a little bit. In fact, it was Scott. But it's worked out okay. Galbraith, trademark dash that he shows. Kicks it across the flank. Looking for McHugh. Adam Morris there too. And that's a win, I reckon, for the Kangas. They were outnumbered 2-on-3. They managed to hold it up. Still in their attacking side of centre wing.
They had a couple more options forward of the footy too, didn't they? So they were going to be away there, got out about it. Ball up right in front of the stand here at the Brian Waitman Oval. Coach Ruckman got a bit fumbly over the contest. Comes out to Holland out the back, needs to be clean. Hand pass, puts his teammate under a bit of pressure. Ball's hacked away by Imps. Going through there is Harry Scott. Couldn't keep his feet. Now they get a chance here through balance. Gets to Holland. Spilled there by the big fella Burns. Willsmore had it, then overcooks it. And he's going to pay the ultimate price, unfortunately. Needed to be clean first time around, Dal. Couldn't quite handle it. Now Imps will look to spread it across to the 11th Street side, Mitchie.
And the numbers are going to be over here if it sits up for Riley Buntain. Absolutely sits perfectly on the move. Great kick down the line. Immediately plays on, gets the 1-2, Buntain. 60 from home, inside 50, and all by himself. There was Jackson Penny. And that counter-attacking, counter-punching football is what Imperials have really built themselves on today, Paddy. That pressure at the other side of the ground, and when it's their turn to go forward, that flying V formation, and they end up getting another one inside 50. Jackson Penny's had some good moments today.
Yeah, very similar to Marcus Grogan. They've both sort of snuck under the radar a bit, haven't they? But Ouyen United defence, this is a pretty decent-looking kick off the boot. Near side for a minor score. So it's 6-14-50 for Imperials. Ouyen United at 2-5-17. That, of course, is on the Kumiala Club scoreboard. Ticked over nearly 12.5 in this third term for Mallee Pairings. Your go-to local stockist for ball and roller bearings here in Sunraysia.
Oh, that's dangerous. Very dangerous. It's Alex Morris kicked out a full-back fan. Tom Headley wanted the handball back, but set up too much for Ryan, Aaron Lasky, to be able to lay the tackle. Starman inside 50. Oliver, the big man, taps down. Douglas, quick shovel handball look for Lasky. Big bump coming from Morris in the other direction. That's Alex Morris. Gets a 1-2 with Adam Morris. Kick around the corner. Colby Hards couldn't hold it. What about a hold without it there with Grace? Umpires let it go. Hampton back on the ground. Back to Grace. Nicely done. Evaded the tackler. Smith. Now here's Jim Valance. Well, he got tackled as he kicked it. Unfortunately for him, it's landed in the lap of Penny at centre half forward, which goes back inside 50. Fitzpatrick.
Gee, that's an early goal.
Very, very early. 2-on-1. Dropped the mark. He probably had time to recover anyway, but the umpire's been hot on the whistle, and the mark has been paid. So the former Noosa man set shot at goal for him.
Down to Johnny for the Eastern Club Resort. Gee, I'll tell you what, I reckon the Keggers defence couldn't have done any better in their attack there on the footy. I reckon they're a bit stiff. Yep, bang on, Johnny. As we said, the kick to goal, probably a bit of justice there for the visitors, I reckon. Minor score, 6-15-51. Plays 2-5-17 at the 14-minute mark, so let's crunch the numbers there, Vichy. 21 scoring shots to 7. Could have really put it away by now, couldn't they, from the home side?
Absolutely could have. Big Andre Perella getting a bit of work on the boundary line for the Kangas. Morris. Skipper brings the ball back into play. Well read by Holland. Might got one over the shoulder. Umpires let it go. Maybe a little bit of favour going the way of Imperials, but sometimes you need the luck rolling on your side. Sometimes you've got to create your own luck in there as well. It's going to be Blake Smith taking on Riley Burns in the ruck in this contest. Burns does win it down. Well done by Smith following up at ground level. Quick hands to Valance, who just got absolutely steamrolled. Big tackle there from Lasky coming through. What I like about Lasky, he's good with the ball in his hands, but he's also quite happy to do the grunt work as well.
Certainly is. One down by Burns inside the forward 50 now, Imperials. And out of
Three
side.
over the back.
Great hands, comes to Hurley, takes them on. Sweeping hand pass up to the goal square, needed support. Another whistle.
It's going the King's way, I think, for a throw.
Not much in that either. A bit stop-start after half-time, isn't it?
No, it's going Imperials' way. Tannen Hurley's got it. I'm wondering whether he's called for a hold when he didn't have the footy, but I don't know. Hard to see from this angle, but whatever way it happens, Tannen Hurley's going to have the shot at goal. And only been one of the lesser lights for this Imperial side in the last couple of years, but a consistent performer on the wing and half back.
Yeah, a lot of way goes about it. Mitchie backs himself in. Hard runner of the footy. Set sail. Goal umpire is going to say,
Out in full.
he's not scored from there. Remarkable.
Yes, accuracy certainly could come back to bite them. I mean, It feels like Ouyen, you've got to go a long way to actually make sure they make the pay, but you never know in a game like this. It's Alex Morris, another touch of the footy.
Good kick.
He's had a lot of it in this third quarter so far. Down the line, Regan Scott with the fly, couldn't bring it down for Imps. It's another whistle for a hold. This time it's going to go the way of the Kangas. And Joel Brace, I think, is going to be the recipient at half-back. A chance here for the visitors. Trying to find a target to move through. Spearing kick down the line, looking for Cox. Well done, Reggie Scott. Going back with the fly, taking a really nice mark.
Haven't got those lead-up options across half forward at the moment. United, as Imps looked to get into Fitzpatrick, almost just crashed the pack and took the ball and ran away with it. Still continues on with a hand pass, so we'll continue out there with Hurley settling underneath the Kumiela Club scoreboard. Well, inside out is not too bad. The left half forward. Douglas sits underneath it, got time. Sweeps the hand pass, looking for Bryce Hards there on the forward 50-metre arc. Colby Hards, next man in the van. Clever hand pass. It's a beauty. Set sail. Aaron Lasky won't miss from there. And Imperials are on the Kumiela Club scoreboard once again.
First goal of the third term coming at the nearly 17-minute mark, and it's going the way of the leaders. 7-15-57 for Imperials. 2-5-17 for Ouyen United. A 40-point buffer now, as we go within the throes of almost in the red zone of 3 of the third quarter, I beg your pardon. Thanks to Mally Bearings, John Hollywood. Down on the boundary, as he said, Imps had plenty of opportunities to make it there. Lasky finally gets one to go through the sticks, but it just feels like for all the hard work of the Ouyen United defence, they've just been cut through again. Short kick down the line, was looking for Bryce Hards for Imperials. Dropped the mark in that time and turned his way past Hampton. Checks the kick slightly, looking for Handstock. Off his hands. Burns. Lasky again. Brad Hards, that left foot kick, sits it up for the big man Oliver. Well done by Holland to bring it to ground. Douglas seems to have all the time in the world. Handstock. She left it behind legally, you thought. Umpires let it go. Don Tip and Woody are 1-2 here with Alex Douglas. Little shimmy, little kick is perfect. That's the AFL experience and the skill level of that small forward, and hits up a man who've become very good friends over this last 12 or 18 months or so, these two. Apparently Jaden Fox has been taken out to all the best fishing spots down along the Murray with Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody. And he's looking for a catch of a handful of goals so far today.
Great start of his 2025 campaign. If he can lock away 5 or 6, looks good off the boot. It's heading a little left, but I reckon he'll squeeze it home. So 5 goals for the number 5, Jaden Fox. And Imperials now go to 8-15-63 on the Kumiela Club scoreboard, looking a little bit more comfortable now. Ouyen United 2-5-17. We've travelled some 19 minutes in this third quarter on Hot FM.
Jaden Fox just playing the forwards role perfectly there. In the right place at the right time. John Hollywood for the Houston Club Resort. I just seem to think the combination between McDonald, Tip and Woody and Fox has really built up over these last 12 months. They just seem to know where each other are going at every turn. Burns, again the big ruckman following up at ground level nicely. Hurley dances through a couple. Douglas sat underneath it, took the contact coming from the other direction, still held the mark. Little kick wasn't great. In fact, he looks like he's pulled up a bit proppy from that one. We'll keep an eye on Duggo. Fitzpatrick, 2 don't overs for the price of 1, but he's being dacked. Well done, Adam Morris. Some good work from him. He's going to get the free kick out of half back. As Douglas certainly looks like he's a bit proppy coming off the ground. He's going to be replaced by young Handstock.
I like going to that left hamstring a bit there, Johnny. You take a bit of a march across to the left and see what you can find out for us. As he goes, Cox again, got up early, almost brought it to ground. Had a pretty decent tackle as Imps looked to get some numbers around the footy once again. Comes out centre wing here to Bryce Hards. He's got a bit of time. Loads her up, kicks up to a contest there looking for Jaden Fox. Out the back, a chance there for Timmy Gloucester. Couldn't hit the target though, so a chance now for Riley Burns and Imps to reload again. Here goes Galbraith. Just checks in nicely there, has a bounce, goes down the line for Waller. Almost a one-hander. Out the front there again is Grogan. He's been impressive this afternoon. Ball hits the deck. McDonald, Tip and Woody goes looking for it once again. And we'll get it ball up pretty much directly in front of that Imperials goal. Anyone around you, Mitch, you reckon she's about 37.5 metres out.
You and I, Paddy, both partial with a bit of FIFA in front of the big screen. That was almost a bit like the flying fullback where they just cut back inside, isn't it? You think the space is all open up in the flanks.
Yep.
And while everyone moves there, you cut straight through the middle. Ben Galbraith, his pace is an absolute weapon off half back. Oliver spikes it down. Balance might have been held without it, and the umpire says that is the case. Done some alright things, Jim Valance, today. I reckon he'd be better for the run. As we said, he's been the last couple of seasons at South Mildura, mostly playing at the bottom age level, so I believe it may also be his senior debut today. Plenty of big raps on the young man. Switches wide. Made Smith work for it on the far side, but it works okay. Down the 11th Street flank looking for Grace. Tucked away from him by Matt McGinty. Going to throw it on the 11th Street side.
Down to John for Enjoy Catering. John, I've done it again. Just for a Houston Club resort. I'll get it right hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But what's the story with Alex Douglas?
I think at this stage, especially in the first game of the season, you probably play a little bit more cautiously at this stage with Duggo. Of course, a premiership player, a two-time premiership player for Imperials. Of course, was a young man in that 2013 flag they had. Stalemate still just outside the forward 50, left half forward flank for Imps. Scrogan again, the last man up from ground level. Perella taps down. Gregson, handball over the top, Gloucester. Just trouble to 15, the tape measure had to pull out, but it works okay. Simon Brown, I think he's one of the last remaining players from the old Walker Underbrook side, still playing in this Ouyen United lineup. Of course, that merger, they joined the league here in 2016, so 10th season, or 10th year, I beg your pardon, because there was obviously the 2 COVID years for the combine in the SFNL. Lonnie Hampton makes a mark just behind centre wing. Goes down and Stanley Cox has gone for it again! Umpire hasn't paid this one, but he's going to get free, I think, maybe for holding the ball. No, umpire says it's a stalemate. You've got the Flying Fox at one end and the Flying Cox at the other.
Absolutely. He just moves so well, he's so balanced, and he just times it beautifully every time, doesn't he? Probably should have been paid that one, I reckon, as free kick here at the ruck contest. Can they come back to big Andre, I think? Riley can't believe his misfortune there. I reckon he got one on the gob from the big fella, but umpire didn't see that. So it's Andre Perella who goes long off his right boot, wobbles one inside the forward 50 peak, about 3 deep, trying to make a big wreck of that pack. There's a few blokes still haven't got off the deck just yet. Grace laid a pretty decent hand pass. Willsmore hands passes up to some open pasture there, looking for someone to run onto the goal square and kick the goal. But just get the numbers back in support and we'll rush it through for a minor score. So what are we, 2-6-18 the Kangas, 8-15-63 Imperials on the Cuniola Club scoreboard. 23-minute mark of the third term.
I reckon we're reaching the point of the first game back, but there's going to be a few sore and cramping bodies at this stage. Andre Perella's been absolutely worked over by Riley Burns there. As you just see, he's struggling to keep up with him, but meanwhile a tied kick as well, I think, from Jackson Penny. Went to go across defensive 50 and in the end straight down to an uncontested Joel Grace, who's kicked 1 of the 2 goals for the Kangas today and can line up for his second. See Corey Gregson in front of us on the bench getting worked over too. Brad Valance having a bit of a spell for him. Certainly the bodies are starting to feel it right now, Paddy.
She's silent for 3/4 time. So Joel Grace put some respectability onto the Cuniola Club scoreboard. Does just that. So 3-6-18 the Kangas. Imperials 8-15-63.
Just the 3 goals scored in that term. 1 for Jaden Fox, I believe it was, and 1 for Aaron Lasky, or 1 for Joel Grace for Ouyen United. As Paddy Silcock said, it's 8-15-63 Imperials to 3-6 at 24 for Ouyen United. Here on your Hot FM SFNL match of the day, thanks to Collie and Tierney, First National Real Estate. Whether you're buying, selling, renting, or an expert property management, they have got you covered. We're going to head back to the studio and be back for the final quarter of action on the other side of this. Your home of live local sport is 106.7 Hot FM.
I used to enjoy catering. I can't get that into my head.
Oh, I'll call an electrical next time I'm still at PC.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it into your head, sorry mate, because I was the one who was worried about it early on.
No, that's right. It's it's just automatic. We've just been doing it for a few years.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what I said. You're worried about it when you start changing them over.
You got environment here?
Yeah, tomorrow and Monday is my last day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was supposed to technically be working today, but I had overtime up my sleeve, and Nick Vine was already here with Ouyen, and Tim's going to go up to Wentworth, so I'm like, well, bugger it, I'll take the extra time off, and I won't worry about doing it today.
Oh, you're not in Jordan game now?
No. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's only 2 games to cover. The other guys are happy to do it, get the money in, and I've got overtime to use, so I'll use that instead.
Yeah. I reckon Greg Rhodes might miss out on the Mildura Open top 4.
What's the score? Yeah, I don't know.
They're all still coming in, but
Yeah.
Brendan Rouse he'll play in the leading group. Him and Matt Bondi are 74 each.
It's pretty handy.
Yeah.
Is Ash playing?
Yeah, he's still going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Different conditions of what they played in this time last year.
I don't know. I didn't play those.
Yeah, it was raining last year.
Was it?
Same, because I went back and had a look at what the story did last year for like trying to figure out who won. Cause, figure Justin Fee did it. But it was wet. It was wet 2 weekends in a row for both Mervyn and for Mildura.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I think last year Justin had 71 off the stick in the wet, and Rosie had 72 in the first round. They both had 76 in the last one. So Justin held on to win by 1.
So when he's taking your job?
Plan is for it to be Monday week, so the 14th.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like when you do any employment through the hospital, you've got a fair bit of paperwork you have to tick off, so I'm still waiting on a couple of things to come back before that's done. But as it turns out, like, I actually had leave off anyway from that Thursday through to the following weekend, which they've said they'll let me do. So if I don't get it by then it's only 3 days to miss out on anyway. But the plan is I go in on that Monday. That afternoon I'll fly to Melbourne because there's a national conference where people in my role over the Tuesday and Wednesday. So still trying to get a good setup for Theo's birthday. He turns 2 at the end of the month. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Thanks to the late goal from Joel Grace in that third term. Grace has 2 for the Kangas, while Dallas Willismore has 1. For Imperials, your goal kickers are Jaden Fox with 4. Great start to the new season for him. Ben Galbraith, Bryce Hards and Aaron Lasky each with 1. As we'll go down to John Hollywood in just a minute, who's over at the Imperials huddle, listening to Brad Valance talking to his troops at Pat Silcox.
You had an interesting AFL score you just flashed at me during the ad break there.
Yeah, the Gold Coast holding on to win by a point. Adelaide.
Timmer's got him up in the bed, hasn't he?
Well, that was a big one, I think, for them to win because the Crows are certainly looking a pretty handy team this year. I don't reckon a couple of months ago, I beg your pardon, when you saw that fixture, you would think that'd be one of the early games of the season, but clearly 2 teams on the up there at the moment, the Suns and the Crom.
Absolutely. As we can see, the Kangas have broken away from their 3/4 time huddle and getting ready to get a start.
I've got to say, every time the Ouyen United come into town, it's great to see the whole team pack it out because they've obviously got a talented netball outfit out there as well for the A-grade side, but the entire town seems to show up whenever they go anywhere, which is fantastic to see.
It certainly is. Just trying to get a fix on John Hollywood for the Houston club. See if I can get it right this time. Johnny, he's still standing around the Imps boys down there? couple of injury concerns. Of course, Alex Douglas coming from the ground that third term too, Johnny. And I thought I saw big Oliver also come off looking a bit sore and sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it looks like he is on the field because 3 players that came to the bench were Coach Brad Vallis, Tannen Hurley, and also I think potentially Colby Hart. It's a little bit hard to see from this angle, but Alex Douglas is back out there. Going to start forward, I believe, Imps. We're showing a bit of a change themselves. Matt McGinty, who started at full back, is now going to move to full forward for Graham Michelle as well. Maybe just trialling a couple of things in terms of the key position personnel, Paddy.
Well, I guess they've got that margin in their favour. They can just make a few moves and have a bit of a look at how things might play out across a big part of the season. Just wait to get those boundaries cleared of spectators who've turned out in good numbers. And what is an absolutely cracking day here at the Brian Wakeman Oval.
Certainly is. Ball up in the centre, Burns. Tap down to Brad Hards. It's been a good combination all day. Fires off a handball to Lasky, who belts it long inside 50, looking for Douglas. Going back though for the Kangas, it's Alex Morrish. Wheels around nicely, can kick across for Joel Monahan. Right half back, he's at the Sam Adio Avenue end of the ground. Looking for Jim Valance. Off his fingertips. Clever by McHugh, didn't take possession, just slapped it towards Brad Hards. His old mate and Simon Callahan. The ball in the hands of Ben Galbraith, just pops it over the top for Bryce Hards. Gets the handball back again, that's a beautiful looking kick. Went through the midst of McGinty. Started up forward. Penny at the back was a chance for the crumb. Well done by Blake Smith though. Just gets out of trouble for the time being. However, Lasky scoops it up on one bounce and puts it through nicely. He's had a couple of opportunities that he just wasn't quite able to nail in the first half, Paddy, but twice in the second half he's picked it up and hit it on the run perfectly.
And he's hit his strap straight up, hasn't he? He was one of the most impressive players across that 2024 success last year. He has come out with all guns blazing. Perfect conditions, Johnny, for the Euston Club Resort. The Queensland boys, they'll be used to this up in Noosa, fine and sunny, fast, quick tracks, and be right up their alley, wouldn't it?
Perella in the middle. He just looked like he was bereft of options there. It comes out of his hands to Fitzpatrick, long forward for Imps. Smith flew over the top, and I think he's plucked that one-handed. He went for the spoil, and it's landed in the crook of his elbow.
Who would have thought?
What an incredible grab in the end from Blake Smith. He's done that magnificently. If all my footy legends were still around, Paddy, I reckon that'd be a mozza.
Ball's on the outer side now, 11th Street. Centre wingers, the Kangas continue in possession. They come up to an option there. The centre mid, I reckon it is. He's trying to lead up from centre half forward. Quick kick up towards the forward 50. Bounce favours Big Cox. Gets a bit of separation. Kick the goal stand. Don't worry about the handball received. And he's going to send it. In fact, won't score. Didn't get it enough. He's pitched 30 metres out. He should have done better than that. And Imps have got all the answers. And they continue to pretty comfortably across half-back.
Yeah, a bit of a lob wedge really in the end. Yeah, from Cox.
Coming out of the bunker, wasn't
it?
it?
Yeah, it didn't gain any traction when it hit the ground either. Just stopped. Scooped up there by Brad Hards. Sweeping handball from Burns, looking to release Callahan. He said, don't argue to Corey Gregson. Nice work by the fish. His little kick is well weighted for handstock. Lasky's short. He's going to look further ahead than that. A wobbly old left foot up. Douglas almost makes it work. Bounced off his chest, landed in the lap of Willsmore, and Douglas immediately follows up with a good hard tackle. Keeps him grounded 9-15, 69 for Imperials, 3-16, 24 for Ouyen United on the Cumula Club scoreboard.
So you reckon they got away with one there, didn't they? Marcus Grogan, dead set, pushed his opponent in the back. So we see a Falcon there for Jim Valance right in front of us. Chance for Colby Hart. It's going to be quiet today at the Cheese. Looks like we'll get an extra opportunity here with one over the shoulder, says the umpire.
It's been unlucky for Andre Perella. He's just been the biggest man on the ground. His limbs were a little bit long, just slightly high on Hards.
Here he goes now from the point of the centre square inside the forward 50. Going back with the flight. Nice knuckle there from the Kangas. Good intercept though by Grogan. He's had some really good touches. Tipper holds it up. Little left foot bender. It's a beauty. Anthony McDonald tipping Woody finally after I reckon 3 or 4 behinds. Gets a major on the board. And Imperials now starting to really get things rolling at 10-15-75 on the Cumula Club scoreboard. Ouyen United at 3, 6:24. We played 4 minutes. In this final quarter, of course, our coverage across the 2025 season, courtesy of Collie and Tierney First National Real Estate on Hot FM.
Absolutely. For the Houston Club Resort down at John Hollywood on the boundary. Johnny, his radar may have been a little off today, but you just know the class the tipper brings because he just can find space really in a straitjacket. I think as the season goes on, he's going to be a danger in front of those sticks. It's Fitzpatrick. Gee, almost could have been pinged for holding the ball. Instead, it's going to be a holding the man. And the Noosa man has had a set shot in the third term, I believe it was. Wasn't able to put it through. Chance for his first goal in Imps colours.
I love the way, I thought he was really trying to come around to the right and open up the angle. The umpires
was straight onto
it. Yeah, thought he might have been taken high initially, Mitch, and then after that it was probably play on. But umpire decided to give him the kick in the end. So let's see what the banana bender's got for us here. As he sets it up, it's coming back, but not enough. It was just a lay back sort of kick there. Didn't really put much into it. Just stretches after the fact there, so he's getting a little bit tight on a pretty warm day here. The season opener in 2025 on Hot FM.
Alex Morris kicking out of fullback, finds Dallas Wolves more on the stretch. Just chips back in defensively. It's Holland. Showed some impressive signs as a 21-year-old last year. Really flexible play, can play at either end of the ground. Perella's his target down the wing. Big fella unfortunately left to do it on his own there. Not a lot of teammates around. Imp's still running hard in waves. Brad Hards, that typical left foot kick inside 50. Off the knuckle of the defenders, here's Bryce Hards. Stiff arm on the falling down. They still managed to put it through the big sticks, even when he was going to ground. And Bryce Hards, great finish for him, his second goal of the day. And Imperials really starting to run away with this one now, Paddy.
Johnny Hollywood down to you for the Houston Club Resort. He was just about cooked, wasn't he there, Bryce? He had a big fend and then he lost his balance, but still had enough in the legs to keep going and driving and get a foot to the footy.
Beautiful tap down for Burns to Lasky. Checks that kick a little bit and finds Douglas at half forward. Waste no time. Lead further down coming from McGinty. Smith for the Kangas managed to get the spoil away. Penny. Handballs over the top, punched away again from McGinty and over the boundary line. We'll get a throw in, Johnny. Not even just the number of tap-outs, Paddy, but the ability to actually hit at 360 is really important.
Yep, knows exactly where his men are, doesn't he? Can find them most times out of 10 as we get the reload in that right forward pocket. Cox gets up early, goes the double knuckle, Brown out front, gets it back to Hullen, had a bit of time, so he kicks along the line, but unfortunately can't keep it in the field of play. He was trying to hit Josh Gregg there, who was out in front of his opponent, but kick wasn't one of Tate's best.
Almost landed in the pop-up tent on the 11th Street flank out there. The kids might have almost had a souvenir to go home with. Play on now from Galbraith. Another great game for him today. Spearing inside, looking for Fox. Smith did well. Hampton, his handball releases the teammate. Kicking across was Gregson. Finds Josh Gregg, best and fairest winner last year. Of course, the 2018 McLeod medal winner. He tried to find Peak on the lead, but just maybe took a little too much off it. Maybe he just didn't see Galbraith coming back across. I reckon that's probably more likely. Takes the intercept grab. Kicks back inside the centre field. Colby Hards. As you said, Paddy, not a huge amount of the ball for him today, but has had it a few times in this fourth term.
Douglas, he looks to have recovered okay from a bit proppy before three-quarter time. It's a bit of a turnover central at the moment as that kick from Douglas is intercepted. It goes down the line to Gregson as he hits it and runs away.
Father and son.
Pops it out wide there underneath the Kumiala Club scoreboard. Might be Davey out there a long way away from the Smith. Hard to pick up, but he's right underneath the Kumiala Club board. He's got nothing ahead, so he's got to come across the field to go to Josh Gregg. And the line to Willsmore, just waxing up a bit of possession. They're going to try the switch. Big Oliver could make an impact on this. Bang! He does. He takes the catch and he plays on. Kick is beautiful up towards left half forward. As Fox is on the run.
Ankle breaker.
Stands up Smith. Kicks up
that's
towards
unselfish.
McDonald, Tip and Woody. Hand pass, team football Imperials. The dribbler from Bryce Hards finishes it off. And that's what they are all about, the Green Machine, Mitch.
There was absolutely no sense of selfishness from any of them, but it started for Big Nick Oliver, who sat underneath it. I reckon Dallas Wilsmore just didn't see him coming off the bench, which is surprising because he's the biggest man on the ground.
Time he's run to a tee, didn't he?
But the fact he was able to clamp his mitts around it, I reckon, is a really impressive sign, because sometimes the big men don't necessarily take the big marks. He did it nicely on that occasion.
Yeah, plenty of sharing around there, Johnny, for Euston Club. And they really are a team. They've got stars, but they love to play together as a really cohesive group, don't they?
I think it's an underrated intangible, isn't it, Paddy, that you need to have a voice in talking to your teammate. Jim Balance from the restart, nicely done. Pirouette from Stanley Cox was clever. Kick across the 50 was well taken by Tom Headley, who's pushed forward in this final term. 28 goals for him last year for the Kangas. Kick wasn't great for Cox, apparently for Peake it was. Had to stop and prop, and unfortunately for him, left it behind Buntain. It's cut off again by Headley though. Outside of the boot towards the square, Perella spoils. Waiting for the crumb there from Sam Mead. First to it though was Callahan. Regan Scott's stop and prop was clever. Diving mark taken by Tannen Hurley. He's had a pretty handy day first one back.
Yeah, he's been great, I reckon. Hasn't made too many errors until that one right there where he kicked the ground instead of the footy, and that turns it over. Gives the chances at Headley again. He's been heavily involved over the last 3 or 4 minutes. Now the Kangas get a chance at a set shot from just inside the forward 50, slide angle to that Eddie Wander Avenue into the ground.
I reckon he's doubled his possession tally in the last minute or so, Tom Headley. As we said, a pretty handy key forward target for them last year when they didn't have too many. Got some okay distance, maybe not quite going the whole stretch. In the end, Regan Scott dumps it across the line for a minus score. 3-7-25 for Ouyen United. 12-16-88 for Imperials. Coming out the club scoreboard with just ticked over 11 minutes in the final term. Imperials will certainly have a good win first up, start their title defence. The team to catch this year, Paddy, but there's going to be plenty of opposition who are going to fancy themselves to be able to reel them in.
Well, gets well cleared there outside of defensive 50 for Imperials. Going back to the flight is Harold. Sweeping hand pass finds Stan Cox as he plays on quickly, goes towards the left forward pocket. It's all Imperials though. Could have raffled that one there, Rolly Buntain and Regan Scott. It was Scott who takes the mark and then just directs the traffic back to Colby Hards. He goes down the line and finds Bryce Hards. He's slowly but surely racking up the numbers. He's got 3 goals too, would you believe? That sort of snuck up on me a little bit, Mitchy.
Yeah, the 2 of them coming in this final term. I believe that's Alex Morris on the far side of the 50. Beautiful kick. Zach Peake. We got away from Buntain on that occasion. Takes the mark deep in the forward pocket. Left side. We'll take a pretty good kick from this angle. As we know, these pockets are not easy to deal with at the Eddie Wander Avenue end, Paddy. We often see it from the side closest to us on the commentary box. Even from the opposite flank, not an easy finish coming up here.
They've really squeezed the Kangas forwards, haven't they, to go to the boundary line, haven't they, to lead up the channel. Which would obviously set for a much easier shot on goal. Peter's going to hang it across the face. It stays alive in that right forward pocket momentarily. As Perella and also Galbraith have a bit of a wrestle after it, but it goes over the line.
We do have to say, Paddy, we are also celebrating a birthday today. And it is the 21st birthday. Of course, it is our man on the boundary. Thanks to the Euston Club Resort, John Hollywood, 21 years on air this year for Hot FM Sport, and he's done a brilliant job each and every year. So, Johnny, happy, in inverted quotes, birthday to you, mate. And brilliant to have you back again for another season. I reckon you get a bit of youthful enthusiasm every time the footy comes back out there. Half-back Alex Douglas, showing no signs of that impingement on his hamstring from before. He gets taken in possession. We're going to pay a ball up. It is a 63-point margin in favour of Imperials. As Cox gets in front of Burns in that ruck contest. Offhands and across the boundary line. Jackson Penny coming for a spell on the bench. Had a pretty solid game, I reckon, Penny. He could be finding his spot, Paddy Silcox. Maybe on that wing as another runner for Imps. They've got McHugh who runs out there. They've got a few others who can rotate through that position, but Penny, I reckon, is just about putting his name forward for that position.
They've got some options, haven't they? There's a high shot coming in there on Lonnie Hampton. Not high to go on, hard to go high on Lonnie. There's not much of him. He plays on quickly. He's got an option here in Monaghan. Right half forward, right in front of us here in the Hot FM box. It's a good 70 odd metres there. Kicks into the bound on the mark. That was a little bit lazy. Hand pass coming back now to Monaghan. He's wrapped up at a pretty decent tackle. And the ball going into out of play. So we have the ball in. 14-minute mark, final two. Following Tierney's first match for real estate. SFL match of the day. Season opener for 2025. And it's a pretty comfortable margin for Imperials. They lead by 63.
Flicked back into the field of play. Just cost a manhandle by Burns there. Umpires let it go. Hand stop with a quick flicking handball to Douglas. Went to McHugh and now Bryce Hards. Spearing pass looking for McGinty. Over the back is Gloucester. He's had to wear Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody all day.
Yeah, it's a good tackle.
It is. He kicked it straight into McGinty. And on the rebound back, Tipper got him straight away. A stalemate inside the forward 50. Big man Perella for Ouyen United comes to the bench. Ryan Monaghan, I don't think he's been on the field in the entire last quarter, so it certainly hasn't helped on a warm day, Paddy, not having that extra rotation.
Spot on. As here come the Kangas trying to mount a bit of a sortie from across half back, but Imps once again, numbers around the contest. Almost locked away there. 11th Street side. 15-minute mark of this final term. Of course, first of two games to get us going for the 2025 campaign. We're taking on Redcliffe in a twilight game for the Georgie G. That one gets underway in around about 18 minutes. As the ball is up for grabs. Grace couldn't quite track it down. Holland sweeps it back in board. Under pressure there, Jim Valance. And the ball's going nowhere. Imps get another chance to go inside forward 50 once again.
Hard for the Kangas to get much clean possession today, but I reckon Valance has had a bit of a crack with his endeavour. I reckon that's a good sign of what he's been doing in the pre-season. It's McDonald, Tip and Woody. Well, I don't think that was his intention. I think he was going for the goal. But he'll claim it in the end off his bootlaces. It lands in the lap of McGinty. The number 12, who started at full-back today, has a chance to kick his first goal of the home and away season.
He's almost played the AFL sub to kick the goal and come off the ground. So he was in autopilot to come off the ground, but he just didn't kick the goal. But in the end, the left footer, even though it was a bit of a shape, worked out a treat because it gives Matt McGinty a chance to get his first goal for 2025.
It wasn't a great kick of goal either from McGinty from close range.
He like a backman, didn't he?
Absolutely, but his backman will take whatever goal we can get. A major on the board for Matt McGinty. It's 13-16-94 now for Imperials. Ouyen United 3-7-25. Certainly gotten away from the Kangas here. A 69-point lead on the board here for the Green Machine. John Hollywood. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier, you feel like the scoreboard maybe doesn't reflect the closeness of the contest, but it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen on the track down at Blackburn Park this week.
A bit scary for the other clubs in the competition, I think, Johnny.
Well, there's one highlighted inclusion we've got up here, Paddy Silcox and Ryan Hards. Of course, the junior, who's only a couple of games away, I think, from his 200th in Imps colours.
Yep.
Come back in as well. It's a very handy inclusion. It's a nice defensive intercept mark taken there by Blake Smith, who's given his all today. Across to the veteran Brown. And Brown is just a wiry footballer, isn't he? Tough as they come. Lays a great tackle. I think underrated skills like that. Just check the kick nicely. It's Headley who's come a bit further up the ground. Just goes short to Grace. I reckon he can hold his head high today, Joel Grace. 2 of the Kangas 3 goals. Overlap handball there for Blake Smith. Back to Grace. Tried to do a little bit too much. Balance might have been ridden in the back. Umpire says it's okay. Stalemate in the centre of Brian Waitman Oval. Ticked over 18 minutes in this final term of your Hot FM match of the day. Welcome you back to footy on Hot FM this year, Paddy. And maybe it's a smaller crew for us today, but just we've got a big crew lined up for the rest of the home and away season. We're looking forward to bringing you every single game, every single week.
You're not going to miss any of the action right here on your community radio, that is for sure. As we see the ball just still locked away inside the centre square. Once again, will do battle. Burns and Perella. Burns again first, glove to the footy. Scouted nicely by Davey. All cleared again as a second attempt from Nathan. Kicks up towards centre half forward. Good contest ensues. Galbraith, Will Lewis gets away out of danger. His kick is not too bad. Wasn't being able to be brought to ground by Fitzpatrick, but he stays alive in the contest. And now Bryce Harnes is the next man in the chain. Just turns one around his body inside the forward 50. Umpire says play on. The kick's going to come out though. They've got options here, Imps. Chance from McHugh. Calmly kicks down towards a couple of options. Didn't quite hit the target. Douglas had it. Fox goes again. Fox gets up for a second bite of the cherry and is going to register, I reckon, his 6th major of the afternoon. I had him for 5, Mitchie, so we might have to just check our count there.
Might have to. I've got him down for 5, but we'll find out, I guess, a little bit later on. But whatever it is, Jaden Fox, great day for him in the first game back. He's just had the ability to shrug that tackle in the first place. A few calls for a high, but it was definitely a lift of the arm. But either way, he just kept busting his way through. John Hollywood, I reckon that's been exemplary of what Jaden Fox has been able to do in the last couple of years. It's this work rate and the second efforts the whole way through, whether it's in the air or at ground level, that's held him apart. Just absolutely say that magic spray for later on. Another clearance here for Fitzpatrick. Really liked his first game for Imps today. Ball bounces up at half forward, gets away from Grogan, follows it up at ground level. McHugh, well read here by Bryce Harnes, gives a stiff arm to Holland, just gets a handball away in time. And a bit unlucky there, the Ouyen United defence as Fox has slipped over. Oscar Smith's accidentally got one over the shoulder. Not really much he could do about that. Chance to kick his 2nd in a row, the Flying Fox, and gee, it looks in good shape. I reckon he's been very hard at work over this pre-season, which is a great sign for a man who's coming off a best and fairest campaign.
Agreed, Mitchie. He was just scouting what his options were. As you can see, his head just spinning around there, but now he's elected to go back and take the set shot in front of the faithful here in the left forward pocket. So he kicks it absolutely dead straight for another one.
We've got him down either for 6 or 7. Either way, it's another major on the board. The Imperials have gone well past the century mark. 15-16, 106 for them. Now an 81-point lead over Ouyen United. 3-7-25. Certainly not the day the Kangas would have envisioned coming up the highway from Blackburn Park, but good enough for a better start to their total defence for the Green Machine.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Mitch, you count up your numbers there. I've counted 15 with blind goal kickers, so that's with 7 to Fox, but we will get you that final detail shortly as we get set for another start up here in the middle of the Brian Waitman Oval.
Believe there might have been a tally left off my tick, I think there, boys.
I think we're happy with the 7. We'll go
as well established last year, maths is not my strong suit.
Ball is still momentarily up for grabs there in the middle of the ground. Umpire now says it's been held in. He'll grab it back and throw us in the air once again.
Just for the Kangas too, the other thing they've got to look forward to is a couple of other players coming through the ranks. Of course, Bo Schwartz, who was their big name recruit last year, one of the skippers of the Southern Districts, Crocs up in the NTFL, of course, a premiership player up there the most recent season, as was Matt Mazzini, of course, who sort of come back for Imps. And Brody Lake is another one who's coming from up there too, got some big raps, so still plenty, I think, of optimism for the Kangas. So they've got the ball on the wing. It's Joel Monahan with a kick forward. Bounces up to Brad Hards. Another industrious day for the Imps skipper. Hurley going back with the flight, spoiled away by Holland. Both players left it behind. Gloucester only knows one way, head first over the ball. Gee, very unlucky for him. Got pinned straight away, but because he didn't make an attempt, holding the pill. Tannen Hurley, an underrated day. And pretty solid. The 2023 best and fairest winner at the club. Going with the one Duke there was Fox, couldn't quite reel it in. His opposite number 5 in Holland goes back down the line. Morris creates a contest, but it's going to go back from whence it came.
Chance for Callahan to kick inside there. Touched off the boot. Ball goes to ground. Nice tackle laid there by Tommy Henry. Now a bit of push and shove. Hurley not happy with some of the gear that was going on at ground level. The jumper grabbing here. Boys just need to calm themselves down a bit. We're almost at full time. Lonnie Hampton also getting involved there. He's thrown down to the deck. Umpire just allows it to go ahead. Up they go. One down by Morris.
Maybe it's a bit of ice hockey terminology here. Just let it go, boys. Just get it out of your system.
Once again, see the ball get locked onto the ground, and we'll get a ball up here. Left half forward for Imperials, who lead 15-16, 106 to Ouyen United 3-7-25 on the Kumiala Club scoreboard. Almost 23 and a half gone in this final term. The Kangas looking for a way to get out of danger through Harry Scott with Imps again with the answers. Come in field here, nice hand pass there from McLean. It goes to Regan Scott, just nonchalantly drops it onto the right shoe, the centre half forward. In comes Lasky, good handling, kicks it long, it goes towards the left forward pocket, back with the flight is Fox. His recovery is always second to none. Tunnel balls it out the back door, needed some support. And I reckon the Kangas might just hold on for grim life. No, it's still alive. Handstock. Ball is on the deck. Oh, how about that for some work
He's
there?
going again.
Fox is still going at it. He swings it
look at
around
that
beautifully with vision to find a great option directly in front, about 45 metres out. And that might be, is it Jackson Penny?
I think it might be.
Wow, but Fox, he just would not lie down there, would he?
Almost the perfect game, really, to come back. 7 goals for him, potentially a goal assist coming out of this as well. But again, he's just the man who wanted it more than anybody down there at that stage. And the stage is set for another big campaign. Imps number 5 is Penny from the 50 metre arc. Gee, that looks good.
Great hit.
Goal umpire did not move. While the accuracy maybe hasn't been there all day, Paddy, she's been on fire in the last quarter.
They kicked some good goals from decent meterage, haven't they? From right in front or on the angle. And, really are going away with now 32 scoring shots to 11 on the day, 16-16 to 4-3-7 on the Cuniola Club scoreboard.
They kicked 8 goals won in this final term, Imperials, considering they had 8-15 to three-quarter time.
Yep.
Absolutely nailed it so far in this final term in terms of accuracy.
It's the one behind for the Kangas. We have flexed their muscle, haven't they? No premiership hangover at this stage for the Green Machine.
Maybe it's premiership kick-ons, Paddy.
Maybe. As the Kangas trying to work something here through the middle of the Brian Latham Oval. Little kick around the body. Looks like it might sit up nicely for Galbraith. Just measures a little chip up the line. Wasn't 15 for mine, but the umpire says it's a mark to Hurley. He'll cross back centre field where he's got options. Too much on it for Scott. Greg had it, then lost it. Goes back to find him again, Joshy. Might have been taken high. Umpire allowed it to play on a couple of moments. Now the ball is grounded. And we'll get another toss up here in the middle. 26-minute mark, final two.
8 unanswered goals in this final term for Imps. Grace tries to handball it forward for the Kangas. Run by the debutant Harry Scott. Plays the tackle there on McHugh, but the kick forward for Imps comes from Colby Hards.
Yeah.
You know, Bryce Hards diving handballs nicely for Handstock. Did well, didn't blaze away. Handballs to Fitzpatrick. Kicks it to space. Didn't quite work the way he wanted it. Oscar Smith did well to dance out of trouble there. Finds the youngster in Scott at half back. Man in short there in Willsmore. Certainly going to be better for the run today, Dallas Willsmore, you feel. There goes your final siren. And the Imperials, imperious as they were last year, they've started 2025 in the same fashion. 16-16, 112 for the Green Machine, 3-7-25 for Ouyen United on the Cuniola Club scoreboard. And that is the opening game of the season here on 106.7 Hot FM done. We're going to go back to the studio for some messages from our valued sponsors. We'll be back on the other side of this is Pat Silcox and John Hollywood break down what's been a great opening day for the reigning premiers Imperials. Happy for you guys to take the last bit, mate.
So
That was a bit anticlimactic, wasn't it, considering what we were expecting?
yeah, so 7 for Fox, 3 for Bryce Hards, 2 for Lasky.
Singles to Galbraith, double tip on Woody McGinty and Penny. Yeah, I think I must have just forgot to tag one on there.